6.
Good evening. How are you?
BBC Radio Manchester.
I am Allan Beswick. This is the Allan Beswick Late Night Phone-In, and we and the team, or me and the team, are here until 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're more than welcome to join us on the usual number, 0800 218 2255. Jane's producing, Jason's driving all the buttons, and Luke is taking your call. Busy week has been had by many. There's a bloke who's going on hunger strike. He's going on hunger strike to fight the extension of the clean air zone in London. What a balm pot. I mean, to be fair, he will get my applause if he does a Bobby Stans and starves himself to death. Otherwise, isn't he just another attention seeker? And another bloke reckons his teacher wife had sex with a 15-year-old boy in a field. Who grassed him up? I thank you. Here all week. Well, till 1 anyway. The British Museum has sacked a bloke for allegedly stealing exhibits, which is a bit cute, given how the museum got so many of the items it claims to own. The headline should have read, "Burglar Bill gets burgled." And trans women have been banned from all female chess competitions, which is interesting, because as any fool knows, the thing that most men think with is the bit a trans woman doesn't really want to hang on to, as it were. So that's a bit weird. And apparently senior officials at the EU have blocked a plan for the UK to send illegal migrants back to France. Why wouldn't they? We're not members, and France is. We voted to have control of our borders. And the EU, responsibly, is quite keen on looking after theirs. And then Richard Branson apparently dislikes being called a billionaire. Poor thing, what a cross to bear. I think I could get used to it. To be honest, I'd settled for not quite broke yet. And then tomorrow is the big day, isn't it? 11 o'clock in the morning, live on BBC Local Radio, whatever station you're listening to this programme on, it will be there, 11 o'clock tomorrow. Well, it'll be there from 10, apparently. We're going to do all that pre-match bull, what's it? Yeah, that. And then the game. And good luck to them all. But neither the King nor the Prime Minister are going to be there to cheer on the Lionesses. Neither will William, and he's apologised, and he's some big honcho in football, but he's apologised. Said, "Mate, missus, we're a bit busy on a Sunday, you know, we have lunch." Anyway, he's not going. And you've got to be fair, Australia is a very, very long way, and there's no getting past it. It's just a bunch of girls. It's not proper football, is it? Anyway, they've got to stay round here to welcome an alleged murderer, a very, very rich alleged murderer who's got lots of lovely oil money, but still an alleged murderer. You wouldn't want to miss out on that just for a game of girls' football. I bet you bottom dollar if it was blokes, they'd be out there like a shot. The Foreign Secretary is going, which is nice, but apparently he states categorically he knows nothing about football. But then neither do I, and the BBC sent me to Rome when Manchester United win the European Cup final, which they lost, by the way. Anyway, it would seem that if you want to get to the best, you know, the top of the tree, as it were, if you want to be the best, if you want to rise ever upwards, then the policy is do nout and no nout. As Gilbert and Sullivan once were. Hey, the Doyley Cart Orchestra and Singers in a performance of HMS Pinafore and When I Was a Lad. Not quite the northern version, is it? Hey, when I was a lad. What was that? Wasn't that Ovis? The advert. Not Ovis Presley, he was very funny. But it wasn't the advert. I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? 0800 218 2255 here till 1 o'clock in the morning, and you are more than welcome to join us. Let's get going. You can talk about anything, by the way. How do you, Sean?
Good evening, Alan. How you doing?
Awfully well, thank you.
Can I just want to say, did you watch the Lionesses semi-final on Wednesday when they won 3-1 against Australia? It was amazing.
I did watch them, yes.
Toon scored, Lauren Hem scored, Russo scored. It was so good. Did you see the Toon strike? It was so brilliant.
Well, it did seem quite good when I saw it. I thought, by Jove, that can't be easy.
Yeah. And then England are now through to the final, so if they win that, then they're proving that they're the best in the world, the best team.
Yeah, if they win that, they will, and that's the big thing tomorrow, isn't it? Do you think they will win tomorrow?
Well, the beats me in the Euros, and not them out of the Euros, so they will win, yeah. And they've got a brilliant team as well.
But it's just one game, isn't it? That's the trouble with these knockout things and these finals. It's just one game, you know.
Yeah, but even the men's team have been sending messages saying, "Good luck to you, Lionesses, and I hope you do really well, and bring it home, girls. You can do it."
Yeah, well, they would, and we all hope they do extremely well and do indeed win it. But it's not easy.
No, because they might go penalties if it gets really tight as well.
Yeah, they're not as scaredy cats as the men's team seem to be when it comes to penalties. They seem to be able to hold their own, as it were.
The men's team are scaredy cats, because that Saka got racist abuse when he missed that penalty against Italy. He got racist abuse, and that was horrible. That was,
indeed.
Racist
abuse, football or any other sport is unacceptable. But go on.
But if a black woman footballer missed a penalty, she would never get racist abuse. So it's always the men that get abuse. Because they're just babies, aren't they?
They're just what?
They're just babies when they can't get the wrong way.
Oh, you mean the people doing the abusing?
Yeah, they're just babies.
They're not babies, they're idiots. Childish idiots. But there you go. Anyway, Sean, what score have you got for me tomorrow then, do you reckon?
I'm going England 4-1.
4-1?
4-1, yeah.
Well, okay, well, I hope you're accurate. We shall see, Sean. Have a good night, mate, and enjoy the game. How do Russell?
Hello, Alan. Hello. Nice to speak to you. I'm just saying to you, person I rung up.
Say to me.
I've just come back from Belgium and France. I've been in the First World War trip. My granddad was lost on the Somme. His known grave. I went to his memorial to the missing. There's 72,000 men missing on that from the Somme. I went to other places, but when you think the loss of so many, my granddad, especially, he was married, a father, and killed in less than 12 months, and he was one of many. My mother never knew him. You know, it's so sad. And then, like the Battle of the Somme, the 1.25 million men lost on all sides for one battle.
It's just crazy.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
And yet still, we are fighting wars in Europe.
Yes, we are, and especially Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine and Russia. Have we had any peace since the Second World War? And one interesting fact that I found out on this trip, that between the First World War and the Second World War, we were never at peace with Germany. It was only an armistice that was signed. It wasn't a surrender, so we're never really, they never really surrendered. And but like I said, there's been very little peace since the Second World War. You know, there's always been some conflict going on somewhere. It's so sad, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's more than sad. I mean, it's just just a confirmation of the diabolical stupidity of human beings. It's not just politicians. I mean, we let them. We let them, particularly in countries like ours, where the politicians are elected, and you hear people say, "Oh, we should get in there with all guns blazing," and what they forget is that the people who be carrying those guns are just young men like your grandfather and thousands of other people's grandfathers, just going out there to get shot for nothing.
He was only 26 when he was killed, and one grave I went to was of a 14-year-old soldier.
All right.
Can you believe that?
Crazy.
And the youngest soldier to be killed was 13. It's incredible, but
it's desperate.
Yeah, they just wanted to do it. They wanted to go over and fight and do the bit.
But they do, because because of course the newspapers and, well, there wasn't really television and radio at the time, it's predominantly newspapers in the First World War, but it gets very jingoistic, and if there was a war today, and I hear lots of older guys say, well, if there was a war today, the young uns wouldn't go, they'll not be like us, like we were, but they will, they'd sign up, it's exciting, isn't it?
I'm sure, like after the Falklands, people were just joining up left, right and centre. They wanted to be part of it, and the myth that surrounds the SAS is people still want to join the SAS, and they're unbelievable. But it was so touching to see these things, especially we stopped in Belgium at Ypres, and every night at 8 o'clock, the local fire brigade, they sound the last post, and that's gone on since the end of the Second World War. The only time it wasn't allowed was when the Germans were in occupation, although they did ask if they could do it, but the German commander said no, well, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's respectful and all of that, but I wish it'd stop.
Yeah, what, the remembrance?
Yeah, I wish we could.
I think we should never forget, I mean, I can't forget my grandfather, because I never saw him.
Well, you say we should never forget, but we do. We don't commemorate Agincourt. We don't commemorate the Boer War. I mean, we have to forget eventually, and the sooner we forget, the better the chance. Not forget what happened, not forget history. You can't. It's there. But to be eulogising about people being young men mainly, but people being sent to their deaths just because a politician's crap at his or her job, that's not something to be proud of. That's something to think, why? What sort of a creature are we?
Yeah, it happened, like the Second World War. Adolf Hitler was a corporal in the First World War, and he was quite a brave soldier from what I can gather, but what happened, they are misters. The French came to, they just bled Germany dry. They were absolutely poverty-stricken, and so the Second World War started. A man like Hitler, they listened to him, and he got up, and the Second World War started, and they were still building things and behind the planes and guns and everything else, even though they weren't supposed to. But I don't know. It's futile. It was, did my grandfather die for nothing? I like to think he did die for something.
What though? What do you think he did die for?
I don't know. It's he went up and he joined with his mates, which a lot of them did. They went from the mills, they went from the factories in Glasgow. All the tram drivers started, and there'd no tram drivers. They all went. It was the thing they did. It was just like a spontaneous thing.
But you just said, and I'm not challenging you. You just said I like to think he died for something. What? What did he die for? Peace?
I just feel what's happened since, nothing.
That's it, isn't it? It's just very sad. And say so all for the 72,000 who were just missing, and the million that died, and it's just how many millions of people have died this century, since the turn of the 19th century. How many?
Well,
millions. For what?
Stalin killed more men than Hitler, didn't he?
So they say.
So they say. Yeah.
So he just.
But
so what
like
for? And still this skirmishing going on hither and thither. There's a full-blown war going on the edge of Europe, and you just think this is just daft.
Yeah, I just think, why? Why? Because I've met Ukrainian people, I've met Russian people, and they're nice people. One of my best friends is a German, and and then I've seen German people. Thought, why did we fight 2 wars with these two? And they're so nice, the Germans, when you meet them. But,
like everybody else on the planet, Russell.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, it sounds like you had an informative and in many ways painful trip, but good to hear from you. Have a good night. How do Rob?
Hello, Alan.
Hi.
Hi. I just thought I'd ring up because you were saying you were going to be finishing the end of August with your radio show, and
it won't be the end of August. It won't be the end of August. I don't know when it will be now, but it won't be the end of August. So we've moved on a bit.
Well, that's cool then. I've been listening to you for years. I know you hate all the, war. You're a good pro, good broadcaster. Yeah, last guy was quite interesting, talking about the war and stuff, and it's, I think the children of nowadays, I don't think they're anything like the Second World War when we went to war then. I don't know if they'd be as ballsy, if you like, as what the kids are now. I think they're quite soft, the children now, aren't they?
I'm not sure. In many ways, yes, they seem to be, but of course they've not been asked. They've not been prompted. They live a different life than was being lived by my parents when they were getting ready for war, and my grandparents and thousands, indeed millions of other people's. But I think if the call came, I think our youngsters would be probably as willing to defend this nation. I find that sad in many ways, but I think they would.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I think I was about 19 when the Twin Towers went down, and I'm sure there was a news thing saying, right, we're going to, in England, right, you're going to have to get conscripted, to the army and go and fight. And I remember thinking, no, I don't want any part of that. I don't think it's, well, my grandparents, they went to war. They just didn't have any, even national service and stuff, If you brought that back nowadays, national service, it'd be like a human rights lawyer, I think, saying, no, it's not right that you're putting these kids, into 2 years training camp. And, I think it'd be a good idea, but I think...
Well, I mean, you say that, but of course, you say that, but I can remember when I left school, the school leaving age was 15. Now it's virtually 18, isn't it, really? Yeah. And there were no human rights lawyers there saying, no, you've got to stay at school for, first of all, another year, when they raised it to 16. So the human rights lawyers didn't butt in. They said, yeah, that's fine. So if the government chose to change the status quo, then in the end, the lawyers wouldn't have a leg to stand on, would they? The law is the law, right? Yeah. So,
But, yeah. I mean, there's that old saying, isn't there, that if you send these politicians send their sons and daughters out first to war, and then let the other people follow afterwards. I mean, I believe that, because these are the lawmakers and the people who are, to say let's go to war for one reason or another. But yeah, I think they should throw their children in first, and I'm pretty sure they probably wouldn't go to war, would they, if they had to go,
Well, yes, they would. If they thought going to war was right for the country, they'd go to war. And yes, some politicians would have their children dodge it. Most would have their children support it.
Well, I think they've got like the get out of jail free card. They'd say, I can't send my son or daughter to war, because if they were kidnapped by the enemy, they could have secrets about our government. Well,
they wouldn't have secrets about our government. Come on. Prince William went to war. Prince Henry went to war.
Oh, yeah, true, yeah. I guess you're right there. Yeah.
So, they go to war. If they'd have been kidnapped, my God, it would have affected the war. I don't know, good or bad, but it would have affected it. But they went to war.
Yeah.
It is, I mean, it's easy to say the politicians of today wouldn't let their children go. But think about it. The politicians of today, their children, look at the children of the Prime Minister. He's got 2 little girls. Well, who's going to tool them up with a machine gun? Nobody, because they're kids. Yeah. And that's the same for most of the politicians. Their kids are just that, kids. Now, some have got adult children, and quite frankly, some of those adult children are serving already. So they'd be just the same as everybody else in the past and right into the future. I mean, I'm not... I'm not defending all politicians. There are some pretty dodgy creatures in Parliament. Indeed so. That's the term. That's the technical term for it, Rob. There are some slime balls in Parliament, but there are also some damn decent people. And I think the decent ones are in the majority.
Like you said before about politicians, you have to compromise, don't you? You can't have everything one way, can you?
No.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the job.
If you going to tomatoes this year, Alan?
And far too many. Dear God.
That's to put honestly, them boxes outside your house like an honesty box.
Oh, no. I'm managing to consume them, although the neighbours are beginning to look a bit red in the face. but no, it's been an extraordinary crop for tomatoes.
Yeah.
Everything else has died on its arse. My peppers are still not ready. My courgettes died. They just went, well, they didn't die, they were eaten by the slugs, so somebody got something out of it. The potatoes, the crop's been really poor. Everything else has been shabby. Tomatoes have gone balmy. Seriously balmy. There you are. And they're not done yet. Good on you, Rob. Good to hear from you, mate. 0800 218 2255. And also, I had a branch fall off a pear tree. It sounds like I live in this flash house, doesn't it? I had a branch fall off the pear tree the other day, and it was loaded with pears. It's an old tree, and I think it was just the weight of the pears, and it finally gave out. So I picked them all and put them in a tray in the hope that they'll ripen. But the tree's still full of the damn thing, so I don't know why I bothered. 0800 218 2255. How do Margaret?
Oh, that's a bit of advice if you could give me some. I'm a pensioner, 89 this year. I've been a widow for 5 years, and I didn't get a great pension when I was married.
Margaret, we keep missing you as if you're turning away from your telephone.
Is that better?
Well, let's see.
The advice I want is I've had a letter from the tax office, which I'm very surprised about. Are you still hearing me?
Well, you're fading in and out still slightly, but not as much. So let's see. You've had a letter from the tax office.
Yes, which I'm very surprised about, because as I say, I've been a widow now for 5 years, and I've been on a state pension. It's a great pension when the couple, Terry, got everything in his own right. When I became a widow, the state pension, my pension went up a bit. And as I say, for the past 5 years, I've never heard anything from the tax office regarding it. I get pension. So
what does the letter? What you say, Margaret? You got a letter from the tax office. What does it say?
It says I owe them £70.
Right, and do they tell you how you've come to owe them £70?
Well, I have to let my daughter deal with these things because I can't read. I'm blind.
Right.
She seems to think it's authentic. There's a little gremlin at the back of my brain saying, why?
Well, what needs to be done, we need to find out, or you need to find out, and it sounds like your daughter's on the case, you need to find out what tax year the £70 is referring to, and then to go to that tax year and look how much income you had in that tax year and what your allowances were in that tax year, and see if they, by using those allowances and your code number and all the rest of it, see whether that turns up a deficit or indeed an overpayment. But to work it out, you first of all got to know what tax year they're referring to.
I see. As I say, my girls seem to think it's quite authentic, but I'm so wary about these scams, that you get, because I get umpteen during the week. I just put the phone down. This I can't obviously ignore, because what I can't understand, I get the pension, and I also get pension credits. So if you're just only giving him one hand and taking it back with the other.
Well, that may be so, but I mean, if it's come in a letter from the revenue quoting your name, your address, your tax details, and the rest of it, the chances of it being a scam are slim. But your daughter's on the case, so don't just pay it, because the tax office is never in a big hurry, early doors. So don't just pay it, but get your daughter to work out, because it'll tell you in the form, in the letter, what year you've accrued this debt, and then you can check it against your income and your tax allowances in that year and see whether that did in fact happen. And if it did, then I'm afraid you'll have to pay it either straight away or in dribs and drabs.
Well, I can pay it. I just want to know why.
Well, that's why you need to look at I mean, they simply appear to be saying it's just an underpayment in a particular time, yeah?
I see.
And what you need to do... Go on.
I'm just wondering if I have to pay it for regular.
Well, I can't answer that, and you can't give me enough information for me even to try to answer it if I was capable. What needs to be done is somebody needs to look at the amount of what period they're talking about, what year. So let's say it was the year before last, which it could easily be. Then you look at the year before last's tax paid, and you look at the year before last's tax due, and you work out which is the bigger. If the same, you owe nothing. If one's bigger than the other, you either owe some or they owe you some. And it looks like they're claiming you owe them some. But as I say, you've got to work it out. You can't just say that, there are no words that will cover it. Arithmetic is how you'll respond. So if your daughter's looking at it, that's good.
I'm just surprised. After 5 years, I've heard nothing for 5 years. So I just don't know what's changed the situation. But I'll take all your advice on board and my daughter to look at it a bit more closely. As I say, I'll make him wait for it.
Well, be careful at the idea of making them wait for it, because they do sometimes charge interest.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, oh, God, yes. Mind you, if they owe you money and they don't pay it in time, they pay you interest, so it's a kind of overall fair, but yes, they do sometimes charge interest.
I just didn't know that he paid state pension.
Well, again, you do pay tax on the state pension if your allowances are not as much as the state pension is. It depends how much if your state pension is $18,000 a year and your allowance is the basic allowance, which roughly is $11,000 a year, then $7,000 is available for tax at 20% usually. So it depends on what your state pension is and what your allowances are, or indeed it depends what your income is.
I see. So just say I'm on $11,000 a year. I've gone over that 11.
Well, I don't know what your allowances are.
No, but it's just a flash in the pan that I'm going there. Say it's 11,000 and over 12,000. I will owe them the money over the extra that I'm over. I'm trying to explain myself as clear as I can. My income for the year is, say, £11,000, and they've looked at it, and I'm £12,000. I will have to pay the 20% of over that payment, if you know what I mean.
The 20% of the 1,000, which is... Well, you can do the arithmetic, I'm sure. But you need to check it. So well, I don't know, but certainly you need... What you need is the year they're talking about, your total income in that year from all sources, to all intents and purposes, and your allowance in that tax year. And all that information is available, and your daughter will be able to look that up for you and do the arithmetic for you also and work out whether you do indeed owe that money. All right. Good luck with it, Margaret. Sorry?
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye-bye now. 0800 218 2255. Put your hand up if you don't think tax is a nightmare. Yep, that's it. The only people that didn't move them were accountants. How do Ted?
Right, Alan, can you hear me, Alan?
I can, yes, thank you.
Just to say, when I was about 8, I went to the dentist to get a tooth out, and at the time they give you gas, and And when I came out the dentist with my mum, I seen everything upside down. Now, do you remember the smog, Alan?
Do I remember the what?
The smog.
Smog, yes, I'm aware of smog.
Well, it wasn't. It was thicker than a ciggy tobacco, and it was much thicker. There's smog in it.
Well, smog was fog and smoke.
Well,
hence smog.
We came through that, Alan. It's just amazing, isn't it, when you think about it?
By when you say we,
our generation, like the generations that went through the smog.
Well, smog was only mainly in cities, and not all cities. It was predominantly London. London was suddenly hit by a layer of fog, and the smoke from the chimneys, everybody had coal fires in those days, the smoke from the chimneys couldn't escape, so it mixed with the fog and the smoke, and people were inhaling it, and it actually killed some people.
Yeah. Well, except miners down, like mine, a lot of people died down there getting cold, didn't they?
Yeah, mining was a very dangerous occupation, and people did die in the mines. Many others were severely injured.
Yeah. Alan, you know what, Alan? You know, music, all types of music slowed down. It's amazing, Alan. When you hear it slowed down. Have you heard any?
Right. I might have done. I'm not sure.
It's better. Walking on the moon.
Better?
Dead slow.
Right. Well, I've not heard Walking on the Moon played slowly.
Put it on, Alan. Put it on. Walking on the moon, dead slow.
Well, I don't have the ability to put it on dead slow, but even if I did, I feel sure I wouldn't bother. But thank you.
Get it on.
Have a good night. Well, I don't bother with YouTube, but thank you very much anyway. How do Judith?
Hello?
Hello, Judith.
Hiya, can you hear me?
I can, yes, thanks.
I was just shouting at Alexa, you see, as you said hello, so she was being a bit noisy. The lady with the tax letter, it's good that she's aware. We can't be too careful about scams these days. But it's only reassuring. So I've never had one before, but I got one yesterday, and apparently I owe the tax £150. Not enough to go on the run, but still £150.
Oh, I don't know. I think I'd go on the run, but go on.
But they did give a complete breakdown. I don't understand how it happened, which you often wonder why. I'm PAYE, I don't pay, they sort my tax out. So anyway, in fact, I do. But right at the beginning of the letter, I think it's only the second paragraph, it actually says you don't need to do anything. It will just be taken next year over the 12 months.
They'll just adjust your tax code, but you're still paying as you earn, aren't you? Yeah. Now, obviously, you need an employer to be doing that, and so you'll be fine. That will work out all fine and dandy. Still £3 a week, isn't it?
Well, it is. I've worked it out already, don't worry. But I was thinking, it's not like they're going to come chasing after her and send the debit policing or anything, credit policing. It's very low about that. But they did go out. I had 16 man yesterday. So I do the debt collecting at this time of the year, so we're all getting one. All pensioners.
Yeah, I mean, it's, they're obviously getting their act together after all that's gone on in the past 3 years when they've been getting hammered in every direction, and so now they're starting to look at people's tax situation and saying, right, you owe us this much, you owe us that much, and, if 100,000 people owe them £60, then that's quite a lot of money, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's, but I'd never seen one before, and my first thought was, "Oh, what's going on here?" But got one as well, so she can join my club. Well, I'm in a special club now.
A special club of people on the run for small amounts.
Yeah.
The Tax Doctors Association. Have a good night, Judith. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, feel free. Pick up your phone, have your say on anything, ask anything. We're here. We don't care. We're free and easy. We just breeze around, which is nice. But as we sit here, you and I, the city of Colona in British Columbia in Canada is in the process of evacuating people, with thousands more ready to flee at a moment's notice as the flames of wildfires get ever closer. On the 25th of June this year, I was in Colona. It's a quiet city, some 150,000 souls. It straddles the Okanagan Lake, and it's surrounded, which is where the problem comes from, I guess, by wooded mountains. We stayed there just overnight as we drove the 600 miles from Banff to Vancouver, 600 miles in one bite. You know, beautiful though it, we thought we'd stop, have a night, have a look round. And in our 12 hours that we were in the hotel, you learned very little about the place. But we did have a swim in the lake, which was rather muddy at the outset, but no matter. We watched the kids in the park. There was a fantastic park there, a memorial park. The services were brilliant, and it could, if the fire at the moment, as I understand it, is on the opposite side of the lake, but if it crosses the lake or goes round the lake, then the other side of Colona could be wiped out as well, including our hotel, which would be a shame for everybody. But the one thing I can tell you about Colona, because I was only there, as I say, a matter of hours, but the one thing I can tell you is that our hotel had an ice cream shop in it, and it sold the best ice cream I'd tasted the whole month we were in Canada. So that's its claim to fame for me. Brilliant ice cream. But a shame if that went, but a bigger shame for all those people that would lose their homes and the like. What's going on at the moment? It's just scary, isn't it? We don't know how lucky we are living in what is supposedly a temperate climate. We don't usually have massive heat, massive cold and the like, although we do seem to be heading in that direction a little bit. Even today, when the temperature outside was 72, my greenhouse was 100 and odd, and I thought living like this would be hard, very hard. 0800 218 2255 to join us. Pick up your phone, have your say, talk about absolutely anything. If you want to talk about the women's football, you're more than welcome to. The final is tomorrow. England are in the final, and you can hear the match live. Obviously watch it on the telly, but if you can't get to a telly, or you can't be asked with a telly, then you can hear it live full match commentary on all the BBC local radio stations, including the 3 that we're broadcasting on now. But there it is if you're in any way interested, and I suspect millions will be. I'm not a fan of football really, but I most certainly will be watching it. 0800 218 2255 to join us. It's a good song, isn't it? Good record. It's got a rolly bit in it. Maybe Ted would say we should slow it down a little bit. I don't think it'd be anything like as good. 0800 218 2255. We're here till 1 o'clock in the morning. You're more than welcome to join us. How do John?
Hi, Alan. Is that me?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm John, right? I don't know which way to put this, Alan. You know,
okay.
I remember you used to work for the NHS and that. You know,
long time
2
ago,
months ago, I went into hospital for an operation, right?
Okay.
Geez, how do I put it? When they brought me back from the theatre after the op, the guy had struck up a conversation with, facing me in the bed, facing me obviously I'm not going to mention any hospital, but And he said, "You're all right?" I said, "Yeah, fine, yeah, great, mate." I think I'd been in there like 7 hours for the op, like. And I said, "Look, I've just got a little wheelchair there, you know, next to the bed." I said, "I'll just get in there." I said, "I'll go for a wee, you know." Am I allowed to say that? Yeah. I said, "Now come back and I'll come and have a gab." And when I turned round to sort of get out the bed, I was paralysed, right, you know. And I thought they like took my leg off, you know what I mean? So he said, "No, your leg's there, John, your leg's there." I said, "All right." So I shouted for a nurse and the surgeon guy. I said, "Can I speak to a surgeon?" And he came round and he said, "What's the matter?" I said, "I can't move." I said, "I'm sort of paralysed." So he said, "Oh, that's just nerve damage." He said, "You know, it was a big op and you got some nerve damage." And, you know, but, you know, I'm like 2 months down the line now, Al, you know, when... But, I'm completely paralysed, mate, you know what I mean? My argument was, you know, I walked in, even to my old GP, like I said, I walked into the hospital for the operation, and I've come out paralysed, you know, and I don't know, Alan, I don't want to, like... Sorry.
No, it's okay. You say paralysed. I mean, clearly you're not completely paralysed, so I'm not diminishing it. It must be bloody awful, but what bit of you is paralysed?
My leg, me complete right leg that they did the op on.
Complete right leg, okay.
Which, yeah, I mean, I can't feel it.
What was the op?
Numb, but I'm in complete pain, you know. I mean, the pain never goes away, but... But it's
and
like...
what was the operation for, John?
It was a PVD bypass. They took the vein out my arm from my wrist to my shoulder, and they removed that and they put that in my leg, you know.
Right.
But I think about a bit of a, you know, like a TIA, you know.
No, you tell me.
I keep slurring me words and
right.
And I used to be able to write, you know, like italics and I like crosswords and stuff. And now, when I try to write now, it's all like scribbly. You know what I mean? I can't.
Okay.
Like control. I can't control like me pen and that. You know.
When you've spoken to your surgeon, you seem to be suggesting that he said it might, in a sort of diminishing way, it might just be a bit of nerve damage. Is that what he said?
The thing is, Alan, with that is...
But is that... just for the minute, is that what he said?
Yeah. But...
Yeah, okay.
I know, you know, we don't all like the... you know, like when you go on the phone and... What you call it? You know, like the internet thing.
Yes.
But when I came back and I couldn't feel my leg, I typed in my phone and I put it in. I said about I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm keeping you now. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, I've got nowhere to go. Go on.
And I typed it in, and when he came back to me, and he said, "What's the matter?" And I said, I wrote it down, and I said, "It's not that, is it?" And you know, this piece of paper, I wrote it down, and I said, and he sort of stuttered, stammered, blah blah blah. He didn't say no. He went, no, it's not that, it's not that. And the thing that I'd got up with this operation team said, if they left me in the theatre too long to bring me round, type of thing, this is what it caused. It would cause like a permanent paralysed thing, you know what I mean?
Well,
but obviously
the worst
not going to admit that. They're not going to admit that.
Well, that's whether they admit it at this stage isn't important. I can tell you there's only one person in the world that's a worse doctor than the internet, and that's me. So the internet's a bloody awful doctor, and I'm even worse than that.
It was an NHS site, Alan, actually, but, you know, it wasn't one of them Mickey Mouse sites.
It doesn't matter whether it's an NHS site or anything else. The problem with the internet is... The problem with the internet, it can only answer the questions you give it, and you need to be well versed in the subject to even understand the answers and ask the right questions. But what you need to do, and this, you may not be comfortable with this, but what you need to do is to contact a medical negligence solicitor, and that solicitor will listen to your story and decide whether there is a case to pursue the hospital and the surgeon for some kind of error, because errors do go wrong in theatre. Errors go wrong.
Sorry, Alan. They did say, well, they said it was a big op, so obviously it's some nerves, you know. But my brother had the same operation, you know. 3 days later, he got up and said, "Thank you very much." But Alan, I'm in so much pain, and in the run up to the operation, the you know, you always have to sign a document giving permission for the operation to take place. Yeah.
Were you warned by anybody, surgeon or otherwise, that this might be a possible outcome, that you might end up with paralysis, you might end up with pain?
No, I've never had an operation on that. I was terrified, you know, actually going in there, but when they came round,
I thought you said
you can have an heart attack, you can have this, you can have that.
Yeah, excuse me a second. Excuse me a second. You just said, "I've never had an operation." We started this conversation by telling me you had an operation 2 months ago.
No, I've never. It's the first operation in my life. Is what I mean,
right. Okay. And did they tell you any possible, not nice outcomes, pain?
Yeah. It said, you can have an heart attack, you can have this, you can have that, you can have that.
This and that. Well, when they say you could have this and that, what was this and what was that? It's important what they did say.
When he said, you go down to the said, you can have an heart attack.
Yeah, remember what we're talking about. We're talking about, were you warned in any way that this...
No, the thing I've got, they didn't mention that.
They didn't mention it. That's it. So that's the important thing.
That they said, we bit a couple of nerves and it's nerve damage. But I'm paralysed, Alan. I can't walk and I can't. I think about it. TIA as well.
Since you, what's a TIA in your world?
Pardon? You know,
you said
like a slight stroke, innit? Because
I don't know. You tell me. You said you've had a TIA.
Transient attack. You know, like a mini stroke thing.
Okay.
But they didn't. They did. I'm sorry. They didn't say that. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. In operations, things can go wrong. There's no doubt about that. They can.
Yes,
now,
yes.
What matters then is whether what went wrong was, and I'm not saying this is what happened in your case. If they said to you, look, if you can have this operation, if it's 100%, you'll end up like this. There is a risk that this could happen. If they warned you of that, then that's important to know. If you were not warned of anything like what you've been told about, it is possible that what went wrong is actionable, because a patient has to be aware of the risk they are taking by having the procedure done that's being recommended. So if a doctor says, look, we'll do it, and we do 100 of these, 200 of these every year, and we never had any problem, but what could happen, we might just nick a nerve and that could paralyse you, but what we're dealing with will be cured. That's a different kettle of fish. What you need to do, and the easiest way to do it I'll go to in a minute, but what you need to do is you need to find out what your medical records say about the lead up to the diagnosis, and then the recommended treatment, and then your acknowledgement of the treatment, and then what happened in the operating theatre. What actually went on? Who did what, when, why? Yeah.
Well, when I called for the surgeon, when I came back from the theatre, the surgeon that came was the guy that originally referred me to the hospital. I'm not going to mention the hospital, but I'm sure.
It's okay.
He said, right, because I waited that long, right, before, because obviously the way the NHS is like. So I ended up in like ulcers on my foot. And them nice scales, the district air scales, they come out and they dress that, And when I was there, the surgeon in the hospital, he said, if we thought they were that bad, we'd have just, gone for amputation. He said, but because we know they'll get better with the girls will do that. So he said, that's why we went for the, what you call it, like the full Monty, that's why we took all the vein out your arm, and that's 100%. But that's 100%. Why am I paralysed then? I can't walk, I can't.
Well,
and the pain,
that's a fair question, and the person to ask that question is, first of all, you, and say, look, I want to see my notes. I want to see what the notes of the operation says, and then you can get some idea, but it'll be written in medical language, and frankly, I would suggest that you talk to a lawyer who specialises in medical negligence cases, because if an incident has taken place that shouldn't have done, if there has been some less than perfect treatment, then you could be entitled to all sorts of things which will help you to live the life you've now got to live, which will be a lot harder than the one you were expecting. So, go on.
I'm sorry, Alan. I keep saying now because I'm in that much pain now.
I understand. Well, you need, John, you need... Excellent. My strong recommendation is that you talk to a medical negligence lawyer. You may wish... Are you back home now?
Yeah, I'm in there.
I thought you were, because you mentioned the district nurse. You could talk to your GP and say, look, I want to know what happened, because this is not the outcome, as they call it. This is not the outcome I was expecting or was predicted for me, and I need to know what went wrong. And
I walked in when it came out, now. I walked into the hospital.
So you need, and you need, well, talk to your GP and see whether your general practitioner has got anything to offer in terms of what went wrong, because he or she will have your medical record and will have some indication as to what went on. And if you're not satisfied with the outcome, then, as I say, get a medical negligence lawyer, and they will look at it and then make a judgment as to whether...
How would I get hold of one of them, Alan?
Right, well, the easiest thing to do is, I mean, there are loads of... On the internet, you have access to the internet. There are loads of... Type medical negligence lawyer and your town, wherever you are. If it was me, it'd be Warrington. Medical negligence lawyer, Warrington. And it will give you a list. Well, you can't have everything, John. but type in medical negligence lawyer and it will give you a list of names and what practices they operate in, and get in touch with them and say, look, this is my situation. Can I make an appointment? And they will happily, almost certainly, give you at least the beginning of a case to chat with you and see what goes on. And then there will be a decision made at some point whether it is worth pursuing legally or not. All right.
Thanks for your time, mate.
It's your time. You pay for it with your licence fee. Good on you, John. Good luck with it, mate. Good to hear from you. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, you can. How do Jim?
Hi, Alan. I suppose you're incredibly well, are you?
I always am.
I had a very similar experience that you've just been talking about a few years ago with my eldest son. And we did manage to get a settlement eventually, but that's not what I wanted to speak to you about. You've just been back for a while from Canada, I understand.
I am, yes.
Yeah. When you came down from Colona to Vancouver, did you go on any ferries, or did you drive the whole way?
Drove the whole way.
Right, well, you wouldn't go anywhere near a place called Powell River, which is on the coast, just about 85 miles north of Vancouver. It's 2 ferries and just 1 bus a day sort of thing. Yeah. So you wouldn't see that little town then?
No, we didn't. We just drove. We were driving back from Banff. We'd gone up there on that posh train thing.
The Rocky Mountaineer, was it, or something?
That's the one, yeah, the Rocky Mountaineer. We went on that.
Yeah, we were going to do that, but we came back to England to look after 6 relatives. We've been back about 8 years now. But it was when, luckily, when we went to... I'd thought about New Zealand, my retired copper, actually. I wanted to live in New Zealand ever since I was a little lad. Anyway, I went for an interview, and the first thing they said was, "You're too old, we don't want you." That was wonderful. My next door neighbour, where I was living... I
thought they would have accepted you because as a retired copper you'll have a reasonable pension, so you're not going to be a drawer on their state, are you?
Well, we went for an interview down on the outskirts of London, drove overnight to get down there, got first in the queue, and the first thing they said was, "How old are you?" So I told them, and we were about 50 at the time, and they said, "Do you have any young children, about working sort of age, 18, 20? I said, "No." I said, "Well, forget it." So I came back, really brassed off, and my next door neighbour said, "What about Canada?" I said, "Well, 2 feet of snow every night in winter." No, it's a British Columbia. You got what I could do what we did actually, eventually what we did, we went and set up a bed and breakfast. And when we were setting it up, they said that, and I won't mention the name of this other one, I'll give it a fictitious name, you've got to be as good as the Royal, but it wasn't called the Royal. If you can get as good as the Royal, you'll be all right. Lots of things happened in the meantime, we did all sorts of great things. I was the only bass player in the town, so I was playing for 5 different bands, one of which was one of which, it's nearly all country and western there, but they had a large orchestra, something like 30 musicians, all sorts of wonderful, weird and wonderful things. I can't read a note of music, by the way, but I was learning the incidental music to Ben-Hur, believe it or not. I've been used to playing in dance band and skiffle groups when I was a kid, and also a dance band just before I got called up from the national service. Took my guitar with me and did well. But we were sitting in a restaurant in Powell River one night, and it was getting late, and we heard these voices, and I said, that sounds like a Wigan accent. So they came over chatting, and they said, where can I get a decent cup of tea in this town? I said, our place. Come home with us. So they followed us home, and we had a 7-bedroom, 5-bathroom place, and I'm walking around the garden with him, and my wife's walking around the building with his wife, and he said, how many people live here? I said, 2 of us. He said, it's a bit big for 2, isn't it? I said, no, we're a bed and breakfast. He said, I wish we'd known about you. So I said, why? He said, we wouldn't have gone to the Royal. So we beat them in 6 months.
That's all right, isn't it?
Oh, not half. And as I say, I was accepted straight away being a peripatetic musician, or no, it's not peripatetic. Somebody who can't read, but dyslexic musician, and always have been. And I played in all sorts
when you say dyslexic, you mean musically dyslexic? You can't read music? Because Paul McCartney can't either, apparently.
Pardon?
Paul McCartney can't either, apparently. It's not held him back, has it?
No.
But he doesn't read music.
There was one other bass player, but it was a big upright concert-style bass, and he never moved his left hand. So it was just thump, 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 thump. Anyway, he died. I was the only one left. But no,
I'll teach him, eh? He should have moved his left hand, he'd have lived longer.
You're being naughty now. But there is a thing which happens every 2 years on the even years, like 2002, 2004, etc. And it's the biggest international choral festival on earth. And it's called the Cathaumeu. KathAUMIXW, and it's an Indian name for a gathering of peoples, and they come from all over the world, including Russia, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, all over Europe. The biggest one there is. And I played with a guy who is now the organizer of that, and played with him, just me and him. He brought his Slavinova piano to our bed and breakfast, and we entertained all the top men in each province. The provincial officers, they have an annual meeting every year at various places, and it was in Powell River this time. And we supplied a meal, we got paid back for it, and supplied music for them for an hour, and they quite enjoyed it. Well, it's a wonderful place, like heaven on earth. Gorgeous place to live. Just 20,000 people live there.
Yeah. I mean,
beautiful marina.
Canada is a wonderful place. There's no.
Oh, you're not kidding. Had a 24-foot sailboat. All these things I could never afford here, and fly fishing and fly tying. All. I could fish anywhere in British Columbia, which includes the whole of Vancouver Island, which is 400 miles long. Fish for anything in freshwater or seawater. I could have 2 salmon a day legally. Any amount of coarse fish, halibut as thick as your leg. And the license, because I was over 61, was $17 a year.
But you're back now in glum Britain. But Jim, good for the tales. Thank you very much indeed. How do Leo?
Hello, Alan.
Hello, Leo.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
I'm just ringing to see what you think about the Women's World Cup.
It's quite a nice pot, I believe.
No, I mean, are you going to be watching it tomorrow? The final.
Yes.
And have you enjoyed it, Alan?
It's not till tomorrow.
No, but have you enjoyed the competition in general?
Well, I've only watched the England games, and they were fine.
Right. Well, I think it's been really marvellous. I mean, Me and our Edna, she sits upstairs, I sit downstairs. But she'll come down and make me a bacon butty. But I just think tomorrow is going to be quite a good day. Are you gonna be watching it, Al?
You asked me earlier and I said yes. I've not changed my mind since then.
Will you be having a bacon butty with it?
No.
No? Do you not like bacon?
It's fine, I suppose. I don't eat it very often.
Okay. You don't. I've not spoken to you for a fair few years, Alan, and I don't know. You don't seem to have changed very much. You're still the same as you always was. But I've always listened to you.
Okay. Well, enjoy the match. Sorry?
Tonight, Alan. What? You're not very talkative tonight, Alan. What's up with you?
Well, you're asking me yes/no questions, and I'm giving you answers.
Okay.
What am I meant to say? You say, will I be having a bacon butty? There's not a lot I can say to that. I could have extended it and said, no, I won't be having a bacon butty. That would have been a little bit longer, but it kind of runs out after that, doesn't it?
Okay, well, what do you normally have for your breakfast, Al?
I don't eat breakfast.
Oh, do you not?
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to go now.
All right, then. Have a good night. Enjoy the game. 0800 218 2255. I'll do Glenn.
Hello, Lady All right?
I'm very well, thank you.
I'm going on a holiday to a caravan site near Blackpool again at the end of September. With a friend.
Okay.
I went there in May. And we're going for 10 days this time, which is a bit longer. You know, I love Blackpool. But why are they thinking of closing all the ticket offices in the UK? And all the train stations, why are they doing that on?
To save money.
Save money? You know, there's a guy in the he's like, bro, are they definitely going to shut down?
Are they? Sorry, I didn't.
Are they going to close them all? Is it definite or not?
I don't think they're going to say, we've changed our mind, we're not closing any. Whether they will close the number that they originally said, I've no idea. I don't know what the original number was, but they're certainly going to go ahead and close some.
Well, you know, for people who travel, you know, like, there's like machines at train stations, but I don't like using machines on. You get to give them
but the overwhelming majority of rail tickets now are sold on the internet, apparently. So, you know, the people in the different offices.
I don't like to do that on the internet.
But Glenn, they can't keep every ticket office throughout the United Kingdom open in case Glenn walks in.
But what he's done, you know, the trains with all these strikes and trains being cancelled. So when 10 years ago, when I first started your trains down, they were brilliant. So why is all this poor service? It's a poor service on. Why has it got so bad?
Well, part of it is because of the strike.
Go on.
Go on what?
Yeah, what are you saying? Part of it's what?
Part of the difficulty with the service at the moment is because of the strikes.
That's right, yeah.
Thank you.
But what these down there, another thing, Dan, I applied 4 times to get pit benefits from them. I had a telephone assessor and now qualified for it. As you know, I was turned down 3 times at first back tribunal. I got a phone call saying that they qualified for pit benefits. I don't know why I got it out, but I told them I gave them good answer to the questions, and they asked me over the phone. I tell them over the phone, I'm the lady from the DWP. That's all. I've actually qualified for pit benefit.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah. Well done.
Thank you very much. I'll go my tell you.
And you, ta-da. 0800 218 2255. There's the advice to everybody. If at first you don't succeed, try and try again, as he very definitely did, and eventually won the day. How do Morin?
Oh, hello, Alan. You're just talking to a gentleman about an operation that had gone wrong.
Yeah.
So what you can do, actually, in most hospitals, it's called Powell's, and it's Patient Advice and Liaison Service. And you could ring them first, and then you can make an appointment to see them. Take somebody with you, and then they can get you in touch with having a meeting with the surgeon or anyone that they could find at the operation you had. And then you can talk that through, and then if you come to the conclusion that you need to see something else, pals will help you with that.
Okay.
So I know because I've done it myself.
And how did that go?
Not very well. Well, my husband died, so that was the outcome of it, So, and you were just saying about bacon. I wish I had the bacon on Thursday. I went out for a meal with a friend. I haven't been out for a long time, and I decided to have the fish. So I had the fish, and now I've got 3 days nearly of food poisoning.
Right. Well, that's not a good thing, is it?
No,
not by any means.
Not at all. No, it's not at all. It's not good at all. And when you live on your own.
Let me see if I got this correct. You said that John should get in touch with Powell's.
Yes.
And then you said you got in touch with Powell's, and I said, did they help you? And you said no.
Well, it did help me, but it didn't come to any conclusion. It was about my husband coming home, but he caught sepsis. And if he'd been treated earlier, because I'd seen him earlier in the day, and I realised he had a terrible temperature, not realising he had sepsis. And when I was called to the hospital in the evening, he was almost dead. And so I wanted to know why and what happened. Why didn't he have it earlier? He'd been for some X-rays. He had multiple myeloma, which is counter the white blood cells, and it had gone into his bone. But I needed to know why. But the nurse that was with me, an elderly nurse, that when my son and I got to she said, your husband's got sepsis, but he's on a drip now. He's on antibiotics. So I said, if I'd have said to her, when did he go on these? And she was just setting it up in his room with him, and another man was there helping her. And so I thought, in the afternoon, 12 o'clock midday, when I'd gone in to see him, I thought he looked very hot, and he looked very young. I said, gosh, you look like you first knew you when you were 22. And when I went in the evening, he looked like he was 102. And he had the most terrible suffering of those hours. And we stayed with him, and the woman was convinced he would get better, the nurse, But the nurse wasn't at the meeting. And that was the thing. She should have been there, and because I was with her, and she was looking after my husband. I was with him, and I got somebody for him. Something was hurting him, and I was dealing with that. She put a bed at the side of him. She said, you can stay. I said to my son, you go home, it'll be all right. I'll ring you if I need you. Anyway, within an hour, I needed him, and he just went in unconscious at 4 o'clock in the morning and died at 5 o'clock. And we hadn't expected that at all, you see.
Did you suggest earlier that, and I may be reading between the lines and getting the wrong information, but did you suggest earlier that you thought if the hospital had noticed his sepsis and his symptoms of sepsis, even though I've asked the question,
Yes, that's what, I thought, I said, you're very hot, and
I was asking you, Maureen, I was asking you a question, and halfway through the question you said yes.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I thought he should have noticed, the two nurses were in with him, that he had a terrible raging temperature. And then I had to leave him then. And so when they called us at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Let me try the question again, but don't answer it till I've finished asking it.
Okay, yeah.
Are you suggesting that, in your view, you believe that had the hospital noticed his symptoms earlier, he might have had a better outcome?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you say that the gentleman I was speaking to earlier should get in touch with Powell's.
Yes.
But they don't seem to have progressed your dissatisfaction.
No, they were very good. No, they were very good to me. We talked through it all. But the fact was, it was the nurse who should have been answering the questions with me, because I was with her, but it wasn't. It was a ward sister that wasn't there at the time. And so, no, it can go a good way for him. It doesn't mean that it's happened to me. But I'm just saying, if you find the telephone number and ring the hospital, or they'll put you through, and just say you'd like to come and talk to somebody, and they will ring you back and get in touch with you within a few days, and then you can go and see them.
And how will that progress his possible claim for medical negligence?
Well, then if it doesn't come to it, the doctor, the surgeon will have to say what happened. And if this has happened, and it shouldn't have happened. I know you say you're warned at the beginning. I was warned the other week I might go blind having the cataract removed. But you say, okay, yes, I know that. But no, then in that case, he could take it further. He can get a solicitor, negligence solicitor, and they can fight that out one way or another. Right. And that can come to something for him, because it's quite serious, and he's not, he's not dying. He's quite serious to have to live with that. I thank you for reminding me about Powell's, but my advice to the gentleman hasn't changed one iota. Not really. Oh, because on here it will say you find that they can sort it from there. They will sort out. If he needs to talk to a medical professional solicitor, they will get in touch with one for him. That's how it happens.
I'm not sure if I was involved with a dispute with a hospital, I would want people within the hospital telling me which solicitor to use. But that's just my cynicism. That's just my cynicism. Morin, you have your thoughts. I've given mine.
You don't know. You haven't gone through it. You've never been ill in your life. I've gone through it. I've gone through it with my son. Died of multiple sclerosis. I've gone through it with my husband.
Morin, I don't want to get stroppy with you, so should we just stop? Because otherwise I'm going to have to give you down the banks, and I don't want to do that. You're recommending a course of action that didn't work for you. How do, Paul?
Hi, Alan.
Hi.
Hello. Two things. Did you ever work at Newsham Hospital in the mid-60s?
No.
No, okay. Because there was someone there on the nursing side called, I think his name was Allan Beswick. Anyway, there you go. Right, that's got that out of the way. I'd just like to say, I really enjoy listening to you, and that's why I've got to ring. What I'm ringing up about tonight is this business with these students coming on, just done their A-levels, and they've working up for their exams. They work really hard. I'd like in any level of education, you get some sort of high flyers, you get people middle of the road, and you get people who really struggle. But even these people who really struggle have probably worked their socks up to try and get where they are or what they want. And I just feel that the University Teachers Union, with the teachers not marking or not some of the papers or all of the papers, they could have done this action in another way rather than take it out on the students. And I do feel they've been hard done by in that respect. In my own situation with my children, I've got two daughters. One went to university. I've got one who's a single mum on universal credit, and that's by the by. Anyway, but they've both worked hard and got where they wanted to get to, and I just feel so sorry for the students in general who and these people. I know everyone's got the right to try and get a better level of pay and something like that, and I know everyone gets hurt in these situations like the rail unions or whatever, NHS strikes, but I do feel that this is not the way to go, and some of these people must have children of their own.
What's the well, I'm sure they have. What's the alternative if your employer, who has an obligation to provide a service to a paying customer, doesn't pay you enough? What are you meant to do if you're dissatisfied with your terms or your money? What are you meant to do?
Yes, I appreciate that, and
what are you meant to do? It's all very well saying you appreciate it, but what are they meant to do? They are dissatisfied with their lot. They believe their spending power is reduced by
I don't know, because I'm not in the education situation.
Well, they are, but you see.
There could have been other ways they would have of perhaps trying to sort this out.
Well, of course there are. It's very easy to sort out. People forget, and I say this probably every week, the customer pays the owner. He doesn't pay the staff. He pays the owner. The staff is paid by the owner to, if you like, give the customer what the customer is trying to buy. The customer in this case is the student. They pay an awful lot of money to go to university. And the university get that money. They then spend it on the lecturers and say, there you are, there's some money, go and educate them, go and honour our obligation to the students. But they also have an obligation to their staff. And if they don't treat their staff fairly, and they don't treat their staff with the right kind of wage, are the staff just to say, well, we can't strike because it'll hurt somebody? In which case, the employer, be it the BBC, the universities, the water companies or whatever, will just say, fine, we'll keep the money then, stuff you.
Yeah. I can see what you're saying, and I can see both sides of the argument, but I just feel, from my own, I'm just talking from the heart myself, I just feel that I just feel for those students, and especially the ones who really struggle and stuff like that, who maybe not got the marks, or their papers haven't been marked, and yet they were. I can see both sides of the argument.
If somebody came to you and said, I'm going to cut your income by 10%, what would you do? Would you say, oh, well, that's okay, because I've got to look after these people that I'm paid to look after, so it's rough, I hate it, and I'm going to argue with you for 5 years? And they said, argue all you like, we're cutting your money by 10%. What would you do?
Yeah, it's very difficult. It is, Alan.
It's not difficult.
I know.
What would you do? I'm just asking you what you would do.
What would we do? Well, obviously the government need to up it, or the people who pay these people.
Paul, I'm asking you what you would do. Here's the situation. Your money is now worth 10% less than it was worth before. What would you do? You'd ask for more, wouldn't you?
Obviously.
Of course you would. And if they said no, what would you do? Say, that's all right then. Or would you say, no, I'm not having that?
Alan, I haven't got a solution to it. Why I'm ringing in, Alan, is just to... My whole thing was about the students. I'm not actually picking on the people involved in that respect. I realise it's like any level of employment, like the rail unions or the nursing or the doctors. They have a right to have their level of the thing standards kept up, and I don't know what the answer is, Alan. I'm just ringing up to put my view that
I know what the answer is.
I just feel sorry for the students, that's all.
Our universities have been turned into straightforward businesses. They're nothing else. They're just businesses. They might as well be selling clogs, but they're not. They're selling degrees. And they get a lot more money if they sell them to foreign students. So the foreign students get all the emphasis.
Right. Well, I didn't know that.
Well, read your papers, you'll find it out. Have a good night, Paul. How do Vera?
Hiya.
Hiya.
You okay, Alan?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good stuff. I'm glad you're okay. I've listened to you for a few years, but never really spoke to you because it's always been occupied with my Jack, but he's dead now. And I just feel a bit lonely at the minute because I have Tommy. I have Terry, sorry. They've been in prison, so I'm just a bit lonely.
I'm having trouble making out what you're saying because you're sounding very echoey, as if you've got your phone on speakerphone.
Oh, sorry, I'll take you off. You was on speaker, but I'll take you off.
Yeah. Okay, then I'll be able to hear you better.
Sorry about that.
It's okay, don't worry.
It was just easier for me.
Well, I appreciate it's easier, but if I can't hear you, it ends up being a bit pointless, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, all it does, I get you.
So what were you saying,
yeah,
Vera?
just thought I'd give you a call, because since our Jack's died, and my husband Jack, he died, and Terry's been in and out of prison, so I'm just a bit lonely at the minute, so I just thought I'd give you a call.
Okay.
If that's alright. It's for a little chat.
Of course it is. So when did your husband die?
Quite a few years back now, but it's only just hit me. I hated the twat.
And are you in touch with your son?
No, he's in jail.
He's in jail now. And do you visit him?
He sold his son. No, he sold his son to his missus, his ex-missus.
We need to stop saying things like that because that could identify him, and we're not allowed to do that. I appreciate he's your son, but it's okay. So too much detail of his offences is not good.
All right. Okay.
How did you? I mean, it was a long time ago, but how did your husband cope with your son's criminal activities?
He didn't. That's why he killed himself.
He took his own life.
Yeah.
That's the hardest death of all to cope with, isn't it?
Yeah. But I don't really want to speak about that. I'm excited for the football tomorrow, so I thought I'd have a little chat about that. If that's okay, so that's the only thing that's keeping me going at the minute.
Well, we best hope they win then, eh?
Yeah, what do you reckon? What's your prediction?
I don't know enough about football to know. I'm definitely going to watch it, and I think I'm going to enjoy it. And I don't usually take sides in sport, but it would be nice to see the English win, even if it's just to poke the nose into all those billionaire clowns that play the game normally, the blokes.
Yeah, well, the girls definitely better because I reckon that girls are more superior in every aspect of life than men are.
Well, you may be correct generally. Whether that's true in football, I don't know, but certainly.
Well, they won the Euros, and now
I don't know enough about it.
But men ain't done that. So I'm going to wait for it on and have a bacon butty and enjoy watching them. Do you like a bacon butty,
I certainly will watch them without the bacon butter. No, I don't really, not very often.
Some proper crispy bacon with Lurpak butter and a bit of brown sauce.
No,
Is
not
yours
really.
sausage butty then? We like a sausage butty and all.
No, no.
Do you not eat meat?
I don't eat bacon and sausages very well. I do occasionally, but not very often.
What about an egg butty then?
Bacon and.
What about egg?
An egg sandwich can be nice, yes.
That's good. I can't make a poached egg though. Ask my partner.
Poaching eggs.
My new partner's not there. It's very hard, isn't it? I've tried and tried and tried. I just can't do it. You got any tips?
It's all about the vinegar, apparently. You've got to put vinegar in the water. Have you done that bit?
like a roast dinner, Al?
Well, again, not really. It's a bit heavyweight.
What about a nutmeg dinner? I think you're a vegetarian, aren't you?
No, I'm not. Not even nearly. I don't think you mean nutmeg. I think you probably mean nut roast.
Yeah,
nutmeg's those little round things. Yeah.
Same thing.
I do eat quite a few nuts. Well, no.
Oh dear, do you like the nuts?
I do. I do, yes. I don't like peanuts. Can't be doing with them, but the others are all right.
Any nuts are all right, are they?
To be honest, I didn't like... I know what you're thinking, and I'm not falling for it. But it was a nice try.
Hey,
enjoy the football tomorrow, Vera. Right. Well, have a good night, Vera. Ta-da. 0800 218 2255. That might be the best offer I've ever had on here. How do, John?
Alan, I'm sorry, mate. I've come on twice, and I'd just be very quick. I just listened to that bit of advice that lady gave. So, what was it? That Powell's thing. So,
yes.
I just want to thank you for that, and I want to thank that lady. Okay.
Yeah, smashing. Good on you, John. Good luck. How do, Sam?
Alan. Hello.
Hi.
I thought you can't hear me for a second then. So this week I broke some wall. I broke some dry wall and some tiles. And then whilst I was doing that, I came across some old pipes, like when the house was newly built. So before they've obviously changed the piping system, and they've changed the electric system as well. So with the water pipe, it was fairly obvious there was no water going through it. So I just broke that. But with the electric one, I'm not too sure. I'm not sure if the electric's active. As far as I know, it's not active. Then I broke another wall near the main electricity supplies, like where there was loads of old wires there. I'm not sure if they're active. Would you know?
Well, I don't know. How can I know from here?
So, do you know by law? Because you used to work in the Citizen Advice Bureau. By law, are they supposed to take them old wires out if they're rewiring a house?
No.
But by law, they should be disconnecting it to the main supply.
If they're no longer being used, then it would be wisest to disconnect them. But there's no requirement to remove them.
Yeah, because you know what I'm plastering over.
And that.
Because I'm plastering over that.
Listen to me. No, shut up.
Yeah.
Listen to me. Don't speak. Just shut up and listen. Yeah. What you need to buy, shut up. Don't speak. Saying okay is speaking. Shut up.
I was drinking.
So, what you need to buy, shut up. Good night. How do, Tracy?
How do, Yo-Yo? How are you doing, Mr. Beswick?
Awfully well, thank you.
Hey, Alan, get on this. So, today, I did the doorstep challenge. Yo. And I dragged my sorry horse down that down. All I wanted was a game of pool. I kept saying to myself, I want a game of pool, I'm going to have to go out and get one. Bobo. So I go to the place for the game of pool, get on this, close. Oh, tragedy. Anyway, I ended up down Yo-Yo's, down at Angie's, they're all karaoke. Oh, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. They had a DJ on it. He was a complete nutter. And I knocked him out, giving off a chance. But we had a right good laugh. And I got a game of pool. And I'm telling you,
you're going to spend your time in that. It's hard. When you're on your own, it's hard going out. But let me tell you, just take your arse out there. Just drag your sorry arse out there. Get yourself downtown. Boom! Fucking brilliant. I've had a right good do.
Please don't use that language. Please don't use that language on the radio.
Excuse me. Excuse me, what? Sorry. Hey, Alan, what have you done this week?
Very little.
What did you do? No, Alan, this is serious. We need to know this because you keep threatening to leave us and what we're going to do without you. So, tell me, what do you do when you're not here? Can we ask Mrs. Beswick?
I don't think you can ask her. You don't know who she is.
Well, no, we don't, and I wouldn't do that. What I'm saying is, what do you do when you're not doing the radio?
The same as everybody else, I guess.
I don't think you do. I think you do more than that. Tell me what you do.
I walk a bit, swim a bit, eat a bit, drink a bit.
Oh, where'd you go swimming?
In the swimming pool.
Where?
I'm not telling you.
No, listen. The thing is, no, Alan, I'm not stalking you. Fucking.
Don't use that language.
No, fluking. I said fluking. Fluking, yuking. You know what the thingamajig is? You know the thing with swimming? I'm water crazy, me, yo. But since I've no wheels, I can't go out. And I'm like stuck on a desert island and water crazy me. And, you know, I really do need to, you know. So I look around me and I'm giving options. I can't go in Thompson. You know what? Oh, Thompson Centre used to be brilliant. But you know that St. Peter's? I can't go in there. I don't think that's a safe building. I don't care what anybody says. I can see that being a disaster.
Well,
been built
I don't know where that building is. And Tracy, good night. Tracy, good night. I know nothing about that building, and I'm sure your skills in deciding what building is safe and not safe are equal to mine. In other words, 0800 218 2255 if you want to join us. Feel free. An article in the Daily Mail this week claimed that part of the success of the so-called Lionesses is their loyal band of brothers. Typical male bullcrap. The girls, as they call them, did good. So call them by a male collective term, brothers. Whatever success women's football and women footballers have had, it's despite men, not because of them. Men have done nothing but put obstacles in the way for the past 50 years. And at last, the men who run football were forced to accept and allow women's allow, you hear the bloody cheek of it, allow women's football. And now women's football is making the men who play football look like numpties, look like greedy, kicky, baddy, wingy cretins. 0800 218 2255. We wish those women well tomorrow. We do. At 11 o'clock. And if you can't get to a telly, even if you can, it's live, full live commentary, as they say, on BBC local radio stations. How do, Tom?
Yeah, good evening, Alan. Good morning, yeah, how do? Yeah, firstly, before I get on to what I want to chat about, I'm assuming you didn't pick up on it, not being a Coronation Street fan, but the lady called Vera, who rang in about the prison, there's somebody in prison, and her husband Jack, well, that's Jack and Vera off Corrie and the son Terry. So I think somebody was pulling your leg there, Alan. So
good on him.
Don't feel,
good on him.
don't feel so sympathetic for that, but I clicked on straight away. Anyway, I'm having problems. So I'm having problems, gosh, aren't we all? With Universal Credit. Basically, it's got to the point where, and obviously I've never received any notification or letters beforehand, of a fraudulent claim. So it's now got to the point where it's an attachment of earnings. So in 2019, apparently, there was a Universal Credit advance payment taken out in June 2019, £1,400, and then in my name and everything. So now, obviously, it's got to the point where I'm paying it back, and the money's coming out like £200 a week. In fact, it's probably more or less all paid now. And I've rung the Universal Credit. I mean, shame on them who work from home, like working from home, who clearly are just giving me the runaround, taking the absolute mick out. Yeah, you're on a manager call back, and like, oh, you think it's fraudulent, do you? That is concerning. Like, as if they're taking the mickey out of me, like, and one of the advisors said to me, yeah, well, the name on the claim was changed the day after the advance payment was issued, since when it was withdrawn. And they gave me the name, the address. He said, there's 3 kids, you've got 3 kids as well. I said, I certainly have not. I said, so, you know, it's obvious it's not me. They give me the address to the person who it's changed into. And, you know, it's clearly not me when he read the name out. Even he knew it wasn't me. But I said, is there such thing as a mandatory consideration? I've been told to stop these payments going out. Not what everyone's like, yeah, you're on a call back within 24 hours. This has been going on for about 4 weeks now, and they're just giving the absolute runaround. I mean, if anybody works for them listening, shame on your department. But so I'm getting absolutely nowhere. What I have to do, just pay it back, £1,400 of money that I've never even had. I work full-time, Alan. I said to him, how can I claim Universal Credit and get an advance payment as well when I work full-time and got an income, and I did in 2019? So, yeah, so they said, ring the debt company. It's them who, so I rung them. They said, no, we can't stop the payments. We've been instructed by Universal Credit to the DWP to get those funds, you know, which they've attached to attachment of earnings. They said we can't stop them unless we're under the instruction of Universal Credit to do so. Back onto Universal Credit, we'll put you on a call back, and then it's just a recurring circle, Alan.
It's probably the wrong time of the year for this, but the best way to resolve that is to get in touch with your MP.
Right. Oh, gosh.
Because he or she will be able to get in touch with the department, and one of the things I've said many times on this programme is muck does better rolling downhill than the person at the bottom trying to shove it uphill. So your MP can get in touch with the department, say, what's going on here? There's been a fraudulent claim, clearly a fraudulent claim, and yet you're screwing him for the money. So it's not what are you doing? And that 24-hour callback may actually happen. So you need really someone who can shake a stick at Universal Credit.
Because I mean, I've taken all the dates. I've taken the names and the dates and the times I've spent, you know, the screenshots of the call logs and how long I've spent on the phone, like 50-odd minutes when I finish work each day until the department closes. You know, I can only do that for so long. And, you know, it's stressing me out in the meantime as well, costing me at a work time that it could be decided to start taking out during the cost of living crisis. So it's just not the news. I didn't think I'd have to go to it and to write a letter, but it's beyond the joke, isn't it?
Well, so, I mean, talk to your MP and see if he or she is prepared to. I mean, they'll write a letter first of all.
I've never contacted
this is what's
the
happening,
MP
what's going on. Well, that's okay. They'll be.
How do you go
that's what they're
that?
For. There are a variety of ways. The easiest way is to contact the Houses of Parliament. They will tell you who your MP is, and if you ring the Housing Department, they'll even put you through to his or her office, where the secretary will speak to you.
Right, right, okay, so it's that simple, is that right? It's that straightforward. Right, all right, well, thanks for that.
That doesn't mean, it won't resolve overnight, but, if the MP is shouting at them saying, come on, what's going on here, then your claim moves up the list, should we say.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got that stressed out and bloody worked up over it. That in the end, I've just, for the last couple of weeks, I've just sat on it and not done anything about it. Meanwhile, I got a wage slip on Friday, yesterday, Thursday night, and it took a big chunk out, nearly £300 this month. I'm just leaving it because I can't get anywhere with them.
Did the Universal Credit notify you that they were seeking an attachment of earnings order?
The first time I realised was when it came out of my wage, because my employer was the one who notified me that we've received an attachment of earnings.
So they never told you?
No, well, the address that they've got is for the one that the claimant changed the day after they took it out with my ID, I'm assuming, because they said a piece of ID has been given. I said, well, it's clearly not me. I said, so, and then the day after the claim, he said, oh, yeah, the day after the withdrawal was made, when the money was issued, whatever, the address and the details were changed. So he knew as soon as he looked into that and read that. Even he, I was about to say his name then, sorry, I know the rules. But, so even he clicked on and he thought it looked fishy.
Well, try your MP, because the person you're talking to doesn't have the power to change anything, and it would seem that he because he said it was a bloke, he notifies the manager, and the manager is either too busy or can't be asked, or whatever the reasoning is. But your MP may well be able to break through that sort of magic circle of stupidity.
Yeah. Right, okay, thanks, Alan.
Cheers, Tom. Good luck with it, mate. But don't give up on it, because they'll just keep checking the money till they've got it, and, they don't care. Good to talk to you. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, you can. Chris Packham. Yeah, him. I've watched him on a lot. He gets on my nerves. So he does. He gets on my nerves. He seems to relish telling us that if we carry on as we are, we're effectively frying our great-grandchildren alive. That's kind of what he's saying, isn't it? He doesn't dress it up like that, but that's what he's saying. I read somewhere that the Beeb are lining him up to be the next David Attenborough, as it were. And when I read that, I was less than pleased. Right. So then I watched Earth. It's the name of the programme. I watched Earth on BBC Two. It is brilliant. Bloody brilliant. Even his really annoying mannerisms, which get on my wick, seem to add to the wonder of it all. It's the history of the Earth, how it came into being, how it then developed. It's extraordinary. It's one of the best nature, science, natural history programmes I have ever seen. I can hardly stop myself from watching them end to end on iPlayer. I'm going to save that so that when I've seen them all in the proper fashion, watching it when it's on the telly, I'll then go to iPlayer and download them and watch them all one after the other. It is absolutely brilliant. If you've not seen it and you're interested in that sort of stuff, because if you're not, then it's going to be tedious, boring. But if you are interested in how we got to be here, we humans, how the Earth got to be here, and all of that, then honestly, have a look at it. Earth on BBC Two and the iPlayer. It's absolutely fabulous. And dare I say, despite Chris Packham. But honestly, I think he's the ideal person for it. I don't know why. I've watched him before and thought, oh, for God's sake. Because he does have, we all do, we all have some very strange mannerisms, strange to others, not us. Even Attenborough does. Attenborough has his style, and that style, I'm sure, for some is annoying, as Packham is for me. But it seems to work on that programme. I don't know why. His sideways look at the camera and the way he speaks with the camera, honestly, it's brilliant. Earth on BBC Two. Catch it if you can, as they say. It is cracking. 0800 218 2255. It's about 5 to midnight. We're here till 1 o'clock, and you can join us if you must. There again, you might want to go to bed early to make sure you're up in time for 11 o'clock when you can watch the football tomorrow. And if you can't watch it and you still want to know what's going on, you can get live coverage on BBC Local Radio. All the stations of BBC Local Radio, where you are in the country, will have live commentary of the game. Smooth, eh? Not very loud, upper end of the neck, or is it lower end? I can't remember. I know nothing about guitars. I don't know where it started. 0800 218 2255. How do Dave?
How are you, Alan? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good lad, good lad. Now, I'll try and cram it all in the 5 minutes that you give people. I like to visit cities, in England, but I like to visit what's underneath them, like the old war tunnels and, and especially, I'm in Manchester at the moment, Great Ancoat Street, and there's certain, little bunker routes that you can see. Everybody thinks they're sort of something to do with the electric board and all that, but you can get down underneath Manchester, and I think it's absolutely brilliant, Alan. I do, are you with me?
I am, yes.
Right, and the next thing is, Alan, you were talking before to one of your customers. Now, generation of kids these days, it's a shame on the mess. Do you know like that Darwin, the Darwin traject he gets, like the ape, and then he goes on to, Neanderthal, and then he goes on to a broader sort of man, and then today's man. But what things going to happen, with all these, mobile phones and what have you. I see the kids today, and they're bent forward. Is that going to be, something that's going to be physically wrong to them, or I don't know.
I've no idea. I mean, we don't know how we're going to evolve, do we?
No, we don't. But that obviously doesn't help.
We might, as we develop, and people only ever speak on the phone now, we might find that we slowly lose one of our ears. One of our ears will get smaller and smaller and smaller because we don't use it, and so we'll just be one ear. And then they'll think, that's a bit lopsided, so it might move to the top of your head or to the middle in your forehead. You never know what's going to happen,
I won't.
What? You never know. You've no idea, don't we? We have no idea how we're going to evolve.
I don't want bloody ear in the middle of my forehead.
Well, you don't now, but you may in the future. Well, not you, but your descendants.
Yeah, but when we're not here,
Well, we won't be here, if you take that expression. We won't be here, but you're asking about evolution.
I feel really, for the next generation.
Why?
You understand what I mean? I really do. Because I don't know. I think the world's going around in a pear-shaped thing at the moment with one thing and another. You've got beauty, you've got this, that, and the other, and it's not. I don't think it's good. It don't look good, Alan.
I think the world looks all right, to be honest. I mean, I know we're having a bit of trouble with hot weather at the minute and floods and wildfires in foreign lands, and we might have them here eventually if we can find something worth burning. But the world's fine. And the next generation, well, it depends what generation you are. I'm 75 years of age, very nearly, so the generation after me are not young, they're 50-odd. So maybe, Say again?
You're 75.
Well, I will be shortly. I'm 74 as it happens, but I'll be 75 in October.
Bloody hell, I wouldn't. Well done.
So we don't...
You sound
What do you mean, well
young,
done? I only got born. Well, some people say I sound older, who knows, or cares. But the truth is that the generation behind me is not, they're not chickens, they're 50-odd years of age. So it's the generation after that generation. So we're all right. As a species, we're all right. We do some stupid things, as we discussed earlier.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to be fine.
You're really saying that, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an optimist. I don't see much worthwhile mileage in not being.
Yeah, I'm a pessimist, mate. Yeah.
Well, you can be a pessimist. You spend your life disappointed, even without disappointment. At least as an optimist, you only get disappointed when there is something to disappoint you.
You know, exactly, Alan. But you know, in the Cuban crisis and all that, and the Cold War and everything. You know,
the cemeteries are full of people. The cemeteries are full of people who spent most of their life dreading dying. And it never stopped it, so you might as well just think, well, I'm going to die one day. Might as well have a laugh while I'm here.
Alan, it's been great talking to you.
And you, sir. Have a good night and look after that ear. See ya. 0800 218. We might develop with just one ear, you know, and we might lose all our fingers, and then we'll be like that. Do you remember that joke they used to tell? What do you call a judge with no fingers? Justice thumbs. I know it's dreadful, but we might end up like that because we only use the thumbs now when we communicate. You see the kids, well, grown-ups as well, going, and the other thing is, they don't check what they've typed. They leave it to spell checker, which is a lying dog, if the truth be known. How do Morin?
Hello. You just talked about Chris Packham. I used to watch him. I used to wonder what was the matter with him because I never took to him. But since I found out that he's autistic and he has Asperger's, and that makes him the man he is. And there's a very good article in the Guardian today in the magazine. A very good article about somebody interviewing him and how you think that you couldn't understand why he doesn't look at things properly. Well, if you can get hold of this magazine, it will tell you all about him. It's very good. He has no ego at all, you know.
No, he's very... He's one of those people, and there's nothing wrong with this, not a criticism, he's one of those people who's very, very certain of his point of view, and that's good.
Yes.
But it can't half be annoying if you disagree with him. I don't, but if you do...
No, but I mean, he is amazing now as I know, because I have some autistic people in my... Well, not my family, but my husband's family, and realising that that's exactly the same. And also a friend of mine has an autistic boy, and she couldn't get on with him. We liked his programme, but we couldn't understand. But then we found out, and we quite fancy him now, because he's 62. 62!
Well, I don't know if fancying him is the way forward. I think to be fair, he's spoken for. He has a long-term partner.
Yes,
they live separately, which is probably a good idea. But have you watched the programme Earth?
Yes, I've seen it. Yeah,
it's brilliant, isn't it?
And he doesn't want to be called, you know, the next David Attenborough.
No, I don't suppose he does.
He doesn't.
Nobody wants to be the next whatever, do they?
No, he doesn't want to. And you know, David Attenborough has been there since the 50s and seen actually, you know, 75% of whatever have disappeared. So he has to take it from here now, you know. But he is very, very sensitive. A very sensitive man. And the lady that was interviewing him, she said she wanted to hug him, but she didn't because he can't do with people hugging him, and he doesn't think people like him. So he's gone through a really hard life in a way because of this, you know. But he's the man that he is because of the autism, you know.
Well, we are all who we are because of
we are, but
just our makeup, however it came about.
Yeah, not knowing what was the matter with him when he didn't look at the camera. We couldn't. I didn't understand that. And I thought, I don't like him. But then when I read about him, and then I thought, he can't help that, and that's what makes him the man that he, you know. And he is sad about the world.
Yeah, when I watched him previously, particularly on the calendar advert. Some people call it Country Fire, but it's basically an advert for calendars for 6 months of the year. Anyway, when I saw him on that, and when I saw him on Spring Watch, I couldn't take to him, and I knew about his Asperger's and the rest of it, because, you find these things out. Yeah. And I knew about that, but in the end, you have to do what is before you, not why it's before you in the manner it is. And his various idiosyncrasies got on my nerves. We all have them, and his got on my nerves. But they work on this programme. They're part of it, and you just... I think it's brilliant. I think whoever put that together, including him, the production team and all of that, because, broadcasting is a team effort.
But now in the...
It's superb.
Yes, it's very, very good. Worth watching. All right, thank you. Good night.
Good on you, Morin. Have a good night. How do Sean?
Hello, Alan. How you doing?
Yeah, awfully well, thank you.
What I don't understand is that, that because Lauren James is on the suspension, that she got a red card, stamping on that player's back. I don't get that because other team played in the semi-final that Saturday. Serena Riemann just wants to put Lauren James back in light. Lauren James needs to serve her time. She got a red card. She needs to be punished because she was stupid for what she did. She could have cost things in the game. So she needs to start the team instead.
Well, she did get punished.
But the suspension is not going to be longer then.
Well, the suspension, as I understand it, I'm not an authority by any means, but the suspension, as I understand it, was for 2 weeks, or 2 games, and those 2 games have now passed, and so under the rules of the tournament, she's available to play again.
She's very lucky she didn't get told she's not playing again the whole tournament. Very lucky.
Well, yeah, I mean, lucky. I don't know whether luck is the thing. It was decided that it wasn't a gross offence, and so 2-week suspension instead of the whole tournament was, decided as the correct punishment.
But when she walked away, there's no need to stamp on that player's back because she knew she was being stupid by doing that.
Well, of course she was stupid, and they're just human beings.
Just want the reaction, doesn't she? Just want the reaction. She just wants the reaction from the ref.
I don't think she did want a reaction from the ref. I think, nobody's going to say, I'll stamp on this player, that'll make the referee notice me. Yes, and then he'll send me off. I mean, that's not really a logical process, is it?
But then the player said, "Brett, she just stood on me," so you get a red card for that because it's naughty.
Well, she got a red card. She went off.
And that's good because she learned from a mistake.
Well, she's learnt from her mistake, and she's had the further punishment, as indeed have her team, of not being available for 2 games, and that punishment is now, she's done her time, if you like, and now she's free to play again.
Free to play again, all right. Are you watching the final?
I will watch the final, yes. Whether she'll play, I don't know. She might be like me, just watching it. We'll have to wait and see what the coach decides. But, yeah, I shall watch it. I feel a duty to, as a person who broadcasts, rather.
Hopefully England can win it and beat Spain.
Pardon?
Hopefully England win it and beat Spain and knock them out.
Well, knock them out. I mean, there's nothing for them to knock out of. This is the final. But yes, one will be first, one will be second, and who was it? Was it Sweden today that beat Australia?
Sweden,
will be third.
Yeah, Sweden will be third, in bronze. Yeah.
And Aussie got out, which is always a good thing.
Aussie went out, that's good. The whole. Good night.
Anything bad that happens to an Australian sports team gets my support. Have a good night, Sean. 0800 218 2255. It is an age-old rivalry, and if it's racist and hard, look, that's just how it is. But anything that beats Australia at sport is to be applauded in my book. How do Balladay?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Allan Beswick. 2 weeks today. I'll go with the one that's a bit easier, though it doesn't sound easy for me. Have you heard about this meat they're growing out of human stem cells in a laboratory, and it's actually being tested now. I think it might hit the market, or have hit the market already, but the company's making it.
Human stem cells for meat?
Yes.
No.
No, because I was some of my friends sent it to me, and I thought, that looks disgusting, I'm not watching that. Then another guy said it might be a joke, and I said, well, those AIs can do stuff now that are like amazing. So is it real or not? But basically, to me, I'm saying, I don't think I'll be shopping at some shops anymore if this really goes full hog and comes to the market. I don't think I'll be touching that. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
So anyway, so I'll go to the next one. The next one is have you heard this thing that's going on in the in West Africa? Apparently, they want to go to war with a country called Niger and Nigeria, their southern neighbor. I know the names sound alike, so it might sound a bit confusing. One's called Niger, that's in the north, and Nigeria is on the southern border. So Nigeria is the chairperson of the ECOWAS, and there was a coup in Niger, and they threw out they're calling him a puppet, but it's a puppet of the West. And Nigeria is really a poor country, but potentially rich, because it's got one of the biggest deposits of uranium, and they supply uranium to France to power France, and they've allegedly said that almost 7 light bulbs in France are powered by that uranium. And it all goes back to when they got their independence, because France takes all their money and get first dibs on their resources anyway, and they cannot train their military except by France. So France has been meddling in that whole system for quite a long time, and now some francophone countries said, we've had enough, and they're kicking France out bit by bit. And this one's now a big blow to France, because if they lose Niger, they're going to lose out big time. In fact, it's fair to say they're finished. In fact, they have said, as we are losing our hold on these African territories, we are going to starve one day if that goes to full fruition. So, the Americans and the France have told ECOWAS, which is the Economic Community of West Africa, that they've got to do this and restore the democratic elected government in Niger. And Nigeria is the head of ECOWAS now. And they said, the Nigerian president said, we'll do that. And they said, hang on. Do you know what you were trying to do? The people in Niger and the northern part of Nigeria are almost the same people. So the Senate said, we can never authorize this. We're not going to go to war against our own. That's one. Other people saying, well, look, we've got our own situation going on at home. We don't need the war to go dreading. And why are we going to war with our fellow brother Africans? It's not right. It's never done. Africa's never done that. Nigeria yourself, yeah, you've played the big role.
Hang on. What do you mean? Hang on. That's a step too far. We've never gone to war, one African country against another. I think you'll find that's
Nigeria itself, not other African countries. I mean Nigeria itself. Right. They've gone on military missions to sort other African countries out, but they've never actually had a war against another African country. They've never had that.
So you're just on about Nigeria now?
Yeah, I'm talking about Nigeria. Because I said, why didn't he speak up for Nigeria and forget ECOWAS? I said, no, he's got to speak up for ECOWAS. I said, no, he doesn't. He speaks up for Nigeria because the other most African ECOWAS countries, they've never really had to fight a civil war within themselves, really, or a war with anybody else. So, all these generals that are out there that are saying not from Nigeria, they don't really know what they're talking about when they say military action. They don't, because they've never had to do it. And some are saying, if you fought a war, you won't want this to happen. But they're saying, you know what, we're ready to go. And I'm saying, no, you're not ready to go. You shouldn't do this. This should never be done. And certain people say, well, look, in Nigeria, we want to break up, unfortunately. Sorry, I have to put down on the nation. That if you do this, this will hasten our break up. So go and do it. I'm saying, look, this is going to get messy before it's get better.
Balade, I mean, it is already messy, and it's going to carry on being messy. Africa is, because of
it's going to get messy, and it's going to get messy.
The Westerners and the Europeans dipping their toe
They're all
into
in
Africa
there. That's the problem.
over decades have destroyed it and made it vile. And quite frankly, it's
just a shame. It's just a shame.
It is indeed a shame. Good to hear from you, Russia. Well, there's no because. It's it's been screwed up and it's still screwed up. How do Danny?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm talking about the World Cup tomorrow.
Okay.
The England. Yeah, I mean, win or lose, they've done fantastic to get where they are in this situation, and wonderful players. And I like your statements a while back when you said, I don't really care who wins, as long as you see a good game. I thought that was a great statement, basically. And, if you look at any time or era, I'm a bit of a rugby union fan as well. If you look at, Barry John, JPR Williams and them people, it was poetry in motion what they were doing in the early 70s. So anyone who wasn't an actual fan at the time would appreciate how good that was. No more than George Best when he's playing for Man United. Absolutely wonderful. Things like that. So it's not about winning all the time. It's about actually seeing a wonderful sporting event. And I do firmly believe that. In any sport. Yeah. And I was going to say, the way the game is changed now, it's fantastic that women are so inclusive. It's fantastic. And we'll be there with the family, we'll be watching it, 11 o'clock tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that.
Excellent.
Okay, bye now.
Well, let's hope it's a good game. I watched a rugby game today. I watched Wales against South Africa. Wales got absolutely pasted. And it wasn't an entertaining game at all, which is a shame. But there you go. And then there were two more games after that, which I couldn't watch because I was busy. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, that's good. We're here until 1 o'clock. Quick shufty at the day's newspapers. By that I mean the Sunday newspapers, because it is now Sunday, of course. The Mail on Sunday. Now roar to victory, Lionesses, by order of the King, who can't get his arse over there, but nonetheless he wishes them well. As William says he's sorry that he can't go to the World Cup final, his father and the Prime Minister urge England stars to bring the cup home. Oh, get over there. Well, it's too late now, they'll never get there in time. And proof the devil is among us, the inimitable Sarah Vine's verdict on Lucy Letby. Let me guess, it won't be supportive. The Sunday People, the game of our lives, Bright urges England to glory. Sunday Times, Killer Letby was offered a role at a top children's hospital after the witch hunt. Do you remember the doctors were required to sign a letter of apology to her? How stupid does that look now? Charles is going to just be a caretaker monarch for William, because like me, Charles is knocking on a bit. He's not going to get the same length of time in office as his mum did. And Waitrose is free lattes for police to cut theft. In other words, bribe the coppers. Come and have a free coffee, and that'll keep, seeing them sat in one of our cafes will keep crime down. Yeah, that's bribery. OK, it's just a cup of coffee, but what comes next? Sunday Express, boat crisis is the EU revenge for Brexit. Serves you right, then. Daily Star on Sunday, they think it's all hangover. Yeah, come on, England, 30 million pints will be sunk on Super Sunday, apparently. The nation is set for bunk off Monday. But why will they be bunking off? The Sunday Telegraph, doctors wage war on NHS managers after Letby. The doctors told the managers, according to what we've read about the court case, told the managers what was going on, and the managers decided they didn't believe them. Sadiq Khan tried to silence scientists who claim ULAs will have little impact on pollution. Oh dear. And the police must pursue all lines of inquiry, says Braverman. Yeah, there you go. All of them, yeah. Sunday Mirror, come on England, Lionesses we can, the nation roars our heroines on as the team promises the game of their lives. And the Observer, now investigate hospital bosses, the Letby trial expert urges the police and the family of the Prime Minister Gladstone to apologise for slavery links. That'll change everything, won't it? Certainly. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, that's good, because we want you to. That would be the way forward. And the Letby thing, the inquiry into how the Countess of Chester hospital managers appeared to have stood by as that vile nurse murdered babies in her care gets underway. You and me, we have to wonder about the management structure, not these particular managers, because the inquiry will tell us about that, but the management structure in the health service. It's not the first time that a hospital has been alleged to have been more concerned about its reputation than about the care of the sick. That's the hint at what they're saying here. How true it is, I don't know. I wasn't there, and we will have to wait for the inquiry. But in my day, the most powerful person in the hospital was matron. She was a goddess. It was always a female. A nurse of often a formidable woman who'd worked her way up from scrubbing ward floors, as nurses had to do in her day, making beds that you could bounce a coin on. They were made so tightly. And that was how she began. She began like everybody else as a trainee nurse and learnt her craft and then worked her way up and became this figurehead of the hospital, not some bloody committee of people who were selling second-hand cars like the week before. Not that. These were people who understood how a hospital ticks, understood how patients tick, and by having such an experienced nurse moving paper about and setting treatment policies seemed to some at the time to be a complete waste of talent. We've got this brilliant nurse, this massively experienced nurse, and she's doing admin. It's balmy, was the thought. So they changed it. They got the matrons and the like. First of all, they turned them into numbers in something called salmon. Turned them into numbers, 9s and 7s and 6s, and other absolute garbage. And they got them back on the wards, as it were, doing the nursing. And they brought in managers. Now, managers come along and manage, but they manage within certain confines and very often don't have any sense of what it is they're managing. Just, there's the budget, there's the outgoings, we need to sort it, and they manage. And it's terrible. We know now that managers, professional managers in the health service, are possibly not the best answer. And I know lots of clinical staff were involved at that particular hospital, but just generally, more medical people involved in the running of our hospitals will be, well, could even save lives. Just a thought. And I make no comment on what's gone on at Chester. We only know the court case. A woman's been locked up for doing some very, very vile, despicable things. And some of the doctors pointed out that statistically it all looked a bit iffy, and the response wasn't the one they sought. That's about as much as we know. 0800 218 2255. How do Chris?
How do yourself out?
What do you want to talk about, Chris?
I was going to talk about noise and music, but I just want to respond to what you've just said there. I completely agree with you. Matrons are like the hospital equivalent of a warrant officer in the army.
Yes, exactly so.
Yeah, and I don't want to get all political because I was going to say something much more light-hearted for once, but I completely agree with you. We need matrons the way the army needs warrant officers. That's all I've got to say about that. But, you know, just all of the... There's been quite a lot of mad stuff in the news lately. And what has helped relax me and calm me down, listening to Enya. Do you like Enya?
Like's probably a strong word, but the stuff she did in the early days, yeah. That Sail Away and all that, it is calming. Sail away, sail away, sail away.
There were so many better songs than that.
Maybe so.
And she's just the most relaxing singer with the most beautiful voice. And one of my mottos is, real men love Enya. You don't need to listen to heavy metal or rap. You love Enya.
Right. Okay, well, I think I have to take some comfort from that. I have an Enya album.
Yes, I've got all of them.
Well, I haven't got them all. I think I got the first one. And I think that was given to me, which is a bit embarrassing, really, but there we are.
Can I just say something else about, not about music, but about noise? My laptop doesn't work very well, so I've had to go to the library to use their computers. And you know, it's the summer holidays. There's loads of kids in there making noise.
Yeah.
And there's a sign up on the wall. I'm not autistic, and I haven't got a problem with autistic people, children or adults. But it says some of these children may be autistic. They express themselves differently from other people. But I do know for a fact, because I've got an autistic cousin, he sometimes doesn't like loud noises. And I'm not autistic, and I don't like loud noises while I'm trying to use a computer and write things. So what... I don't even... you probably can't answer this question. Why can't all the noisy kids go in one room, and whatever happened to a librarian go and shush?
Well, libraries have changed.
Actually, sorry. Back to the matron and warrant officer. Why aren't librarians like that also?
I don't think they'd have the... I don't think they would ever have that presence of power. That essence of power. Well, it's just a library, for crying out loud. I mean, libraries have changed. They're no longer just places
what do you mean it's just a library? There's no such thing as just a library.
Well, what I'm saying is it is just a library, and it has changed. It is no longer a place where you go to quietly study books. It now has lots of other things going on. Lots of other
that's what a library should be. If it's a creche, the creche should be next door in a soundproofed room.
If libraries were still fusty places where you just went for books, they'd all be gone by now. They have had to broaden their client range, if you like, in order to survive.
Yeah, because we haven't got a planned economy. I did bring that up.
I don't know well, of course you did. But it's not meant your bloody computer, has it? How do, Emily?
Hello. First of all, when I was a kid and we went to the library, you really did have to be quiet, because if you didn't be quiet, the librarian would literally point to the side and say shush.
Yeah.
You know. But what I want to talk about is matron. My grandmother was a matron. And I think they need to get rid of the managers and bring back matron. Now, you know, I'm sure that this is not the only hospital, the Countess of Chester, where the managers are inept and are getting in the way.
Hang on.
I'm thinking, is this why the NHS...
Listen, stop talking. Because you included in the sentence the name of the hospital, anything you say about managers now is, whether you like it or not, referring to them. So
no, I wasn't referring to them. I
don't. Emily, you did refer to them. You said managers like X are, and that, I'm afraid, destroys your chance to carry on. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. If you'd have stuck to generality, we'd have been fine. Sorry, Emily. How do Peter?
Hello, Alan. I have really fed up these days with the digital world compared to the analogue world. Everything in this country is going digital, and I maintain that some of the analogue stuff is better than the digital. Some isn't. There's room for both, but do you find that, or is it just me?
I don't know. You'd have to give me an example. I mean, what do you mean by digital and analogue? I mean, I certainly don't want to go back to reel-to-reel tape recorders, or having to go to the record shop to buy a disc so I can put it on my turntable and have it make scratchy noises with a needle.
You mean a record, not a CD?
Well, either really, but certainly a record. I wouldn't be putting a CD and applying a needle to it, would I really?
But it's interesting that, because I've got all three. I've got a record player, I've got a CD player, and I've got this digital sound stuff. And the digital sound, I'd agree, is convenient, because you've got a whole stack of stuff there and you can just choose what you want. But there's something quite nice, I thought, about records, because they came in these big things with sleeves, and there's a lot to read there, and there's something special about records to some degree. I kind of miss... If you just have a digital presence, you don't have anything to read, or you don't have anything, a nice picture or whatever, you know.
Well, I don't buy a record so I can have a pretty picture and something to read. And if I wanted a pretty picture, there are thousands on the internet of every band you've heard of and everyone you haven't. Plus, you can read all about
it. It's nice to have the lyrics.
Pictures.
Yeah, but also...
Well, they're available on the internet to every song you'll ever imagine.
But what isn't available is the frequency range of the actual sound. Now, digital never has quite got the same frequency range that analogue has. It's the same on FM. If you're listening to FM Radio 3, if you live right next to the transmitter, you get a brilliant sound quality. If you're listening to DAB, it clips the high frequencies and it clips the low frequencies. You probably don't get as much background noise.
And what do you get if you don't live close to the transmitter? What do you get?
You get a bit of hiss, and you get the thing breaking up. But if you don't live that close to a digital transmitter,
and what do you get?
You get, but at least you get something on analog. You get nothing on digital if you live quite away from the transmitter.
That doesn't constitute nothing, does it? Really, that's something.
No, it's not very nice to listen to, though, is it?
Well, you got to stick to one story, Peter. You either get summer or you get now. If you get now,
but do you ever listen? Do you ever listen to the programme on Radio 4 in the mornings called the Today programme?
Almost every day.
How many phone calls or interviews do they do that crack up? and get lost in the ether because of a digital failure, compared to how many they lost on analogue.
Far too many. But I think there's a different reason for that than...
Oh, right. What would that be, then?
Well, I think that the ones that they're losing... I've no production knowledge of what goes on in the Today programme, but I'm convinced in my own mind that because the whole of the bloody BBC now is integrated, I think they do their interviews on wherever they can on Zoom, so that if they need a clip for the news, they've got a clip for the news beyond.
Oh, right. It's not the actual breakdown of the signal to the studio, then. It's because they're doing it on Zoom, is it?
Well, it's still the breakdown of the signal to the studio.
Yeah, but there seem to be a lot more of those today than there ever were when we were on analogue, aren't there?
Yeah, I agree, yeah. I agree.
And they are slightly, and I think you and I have had this discussion before, but they are slightly in delay, because when they speak, you can hear like an echo coming back.
It's always been in delay, Peter. It's always been in delay.
Yeah, I know, but it's a lot more in delay
analog
on
isn't
digital.
Instant.
I know.
Analog isn't instant, right? So
but it's a lot. It's a lot quicker than digital, which is one reason there are no clocks before the news anymore. Because if there were, they'd all be wrong, wouldn't they?
What do you mean there are no clocks before the
Well,
news?
do you remember on BBC One many years
we're on
ago?
the telly now, are we? Right? No,
they
that's
used to
fine.
have a clock going doot, doot, and now on BBC One it's 6 o'clock and time for the news, and that clock had a second hand, and as soon as that second hand it hit the top, the news came on. They couldn't do that now because all the clocks would be wrong.
Well, yes, they could, because they could just use one clock and do the beep, beep, beep. They do it on radio. They're called the pips. You may have heard them.
Yes, and they're accurate on FM radio, but they're not accurate on anything digital, are they?
But I say again, they could still use such a clock in the same way that they use it on the Today programme, and indeed many other programmes. And yes, some people
would receive but it would only be right, or nearly right, on FM. It wouldn't be right on DAB. It'd be 32 seconds slow.
If your objective is to get rid of digital so that we can be nearly right...
No, it isn't. I'm just saying it has its drawbacks.
Peter, they could do it if they wanted. They could have the same problem that got on the radio. Who gives a stuff, apart from you?
Quite a few people, actually.
Right, well, tell them both they're cretins. 0800 218 2255. It's 18 minutes to 1 o'clock. We leave at 1 o'clock and leave you in the capable hands of whatever the hell happens after 1 o'clock. I've no idea. 0800 218 2255. Digital, analogue, who gives a monkey's bum? Quite frankly, you turn it on, you hear it. And yeah, when you say it's 1 o'clock, and it's not really 1 o'clock, it's a millionth of a second away from 1 o'clock on FM. It's however many seconds it is on digital. Who cares? Who runs their bloody life to the second? 0800 218 2255. This will sound like showing off. This is because it's showing off. But I've been on Santa Monica Boulevard. But I couldn't describe it to you because that whole holiday we were touring and we went to loads of places and I don't know one place from t'other. I remember Los Angeles because that was at the end, San Francisco, that was at the beginning, and a few points in between, and I think Santa Monica was nice. And I think it's the place where the hotel provided a bus back into, you know, like they do from the hotel grounds to the town, which is only 5 minutes walk, but it's bloody hot. So we walked it and coming back, I'm knackered. I'm getting the bus. So we got the bus and this lad got on the bus. It's gone along. There's only about 20 seats on this bus. It's gone along. And this lad saw his mate and he suddenly starts hollering, Jimmy! 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 What is going on? What's he doing on this anyway? He's not going to the hospital, to the hotel. And he can't be, he's a local. You know, the bus is for hotel people. It's fine. You want to have shouting loud and make way back at him. Billy, Billy, Billy. And they did all that. You know, like kids do. And the bus stopped at a set of traffic lights. And he banged the emergency door. It flew open, jumped out the back and sodded off home. He does it a lot. Crazy. Our dude Gary. Where's he gone?
Hello.
Hello there.
Hiya.
Hiya.
Just following up from the last person you had on about digital versus analog.
Oh yeah.
I would say one of the problems that could be with digital is that it can be manipulated.
It can be what?
Manipulated.
Yeah.
So you agree it can be manipulated?
Everything can be manipulated, including analog.
Yeah, but if you got a clock, you can't actually get up and start moving the arm, can you?
Well, you can, but I think someone would spot it.
Well, that would be the downside of digital, because nobody would spot you manipulating something that was digital, or something that was analog. It would have to happen in the real world, wouldn't it?
So there was no shenanigans before digital. Digital has brought all the shenanigans. So analog was as
oh yeah,
was
sure they was, sure they was, but I'm not saying I'm totally against it, Joe. I'm just saying, following up from the last person that was said. And isn't it in 2025 all analog telephones are being turned off, so we're all going digital?
I have no idea.
I think you do, Alan.
All right, I do. What was it again?
All analog telephones are being switched off in 2025.
Are they? Despite what you
do know, Alan.
Despite your
Come on, you read the paper, Alan. I know that you know.
Gary, I may well read the paper, but I'm not stupid enough to everything I read and believe.
No, but that is a fact. That is an actual fact.
Well, you were telling me it's an actual fact, and that's fine. I've got no problem with you telling me it's a fact.
I'm not scared, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you a fact, and that means if
we're not discussing. We're not discussing.
Finish what I was going to say.
No, you can shut up and listen. You said that I know. You have no idea what I know. You're not that clever. You're not clever enough to entirely know what you know, but you certainly don't know what I know. Now, do carry on.
All right, yeah. So in 2025, all the phones are going to be digital. They're going to be on the internet. But if you have a power failure, then you're not going to be able to use your phone. And I know that it's your landline phone, and I know that if you've got a mobile phone, you'll be able to get in touch with certain people and this and the other. But I'm just saying, that is one thing that is out there.
Right. So what you're saying is there will be no analog phones after 2025.
Well, that's a government thing. It's supposed to be coming in 2025.
Okay.
And I know you know, Alan. I know you've read it in the paper, but you're pretending you
once again, you do not know what I know or don't know.
Right, okay then. So you were flipping through the Guardian and this, that and the other, but you didn't actually see that bit. You just missed out on it.
Again, I say, you do not know what I have seen or not seen.
All right then. Like I say, I'm not fucking up digital. I'm just saying it has the potential for manipulation. That's all I'm saying.
And you're correct.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Have a good night. 0800 218 2255. Wish to join us, you can. And yes, there are all sorts of stories about what's going to stop and what's going to carry on. And I tend to think, when it happens, I'll believe it. I've got a bit of Thomas about me. If I was in Jesus' party clan in his time, I'd be the one shoving my finger in the holes in his hands and feet, because I don't believe things until I see them myself, usually. Yes, I know what that makes me. And if I cared, I'd be surprised. Shall we, yeah, let's listen to Elia. Did they say? I wasn't listening. I know I should be, but I wasn't. So. Simon and Garfunkel. Have you ever seen Art Garfunkel with his son? He's like a mini Art Garfunkel, same bubbly hair and all that. Very weird. How do Simon?
No Garfunkel, just me. Sorry.
Oh, very good, yes. Thank you. Quite witty.
You had a couple of guys on earlier talking about digital. And last chat we're right in a way, because my phone provider says my phone's, which is analog, is going to disappear. So that's why I'm ringing you on the digital one. But I prefer the analog one because it's in real time and it lasted all through COVID and it was brilliant. My digital phone, because signal's rubbish around here, it goes off all the time.
Well, what's going to happen is that when it happens, the prediction is 2025, but these things often get fudged. What's going to happen is that you won't have a landline per se. It will actually be what we might call a broadband line. So the difference will be, for want of a better expression, the piece of wire the message goes down.
So are they going to give us a new phone like that, Al?
Not a chance.
So we have to buy a new piece of equipment then?
Possibly. Depends on how it's done. Because there will almost certainly, this is me just looking at history rather than knowing anything, if a ordinary analogue phone didn't work down a broadband line, then someone will invent a converter that will convert your analogue signal from your old-fashioned phone into a digital one. Quite probably. But it's just as cheap to buy a new phone system. Alright. No answer is a stern reply. I'll do Jacqueline.
Good morning. Very, very quick one. Prince William not going to Australia. I bet you Australia is very happy about that, because the logistics and the all the security and everything else, it must be hell for them. So good on William for not going.
Well,
there's not much point, is there? You know, security and... Sorry?
But he is, I believe, I mean, I may be wrong in this, but isn't he the, if you like, the patron of British football? So, you know, they kind of ought to be there, really. And as I said earlier, if it was the men that were in the final, he'd be going.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, we don't know. We're both guessing. Good on you, Jacqueline. Have a good night. Back tonight at 10. That's Sunday night, of course, and we'll know what the result is by then. I've been Beswick, you've been brilliant.
Live. We're the BBC News at 1 o'clock. This is Jason Kay. A man's been charged with possessing documents relating to an accidental major breach of data from the police service of Northern Ireland earlier this month. Some details of all serving staff were briefly available online after a spreadsheet was mistakenly published alongside the response to a Freedom of Information request. The Chief Constable, Simon Byrne, said the information is in the hands of dissident Republicans who could use it to target the police. A 50-year-old man is due in court in Coleraine on Monday. More than 30,000 people have been told to leave their homes in the Canadian province of British Columbia, where the emergency services are battling severe wildfires. High temperatures and strong winds have fanned the flames in the cities of Colona and West Colona. A local reporter, Brady Strachan, says local officials are struggling to cope.
Many people are sleeping in their cars because they don't have enough hotel rooms. The government has put a state of emergency, the provincial government, and they've ordered people not to come to this area. It's a very popular tourist area, and they've told tourists to leave, get hotel rooms open for the local residents here who need them, as there are so many homes here under evacuation orders.
At least 7 people have been killed in a Russian missile strike on the centre of the Ukrainian city of Chernihiv. The local officials say that more than 100 people were wounded. In a post on Telegram, President Zelensky accused Russia of turning an ordinary Saturday into a day of pain and loss. The acting mayor of the city, Alexander Lomarko, condemned the attack.
It's again another Russian war crime against Ukraine. It's another evidence that Russia is a terrorist state. It's very important for people in Great Britain, in all world, heard this information again and again, because we will never forgive this and never forget.
Russia's space agency says there's been an emergency on board its Luna 25 spacecraft, which is due to make its first soft landing on the moon's south pole on Monday. Roscosmos says there's been an unspecified problem as the craft was preparing to enter pre-landing orbit. The uncrewed craft is planning to look for signs of water. Our correspondent Paul Moss says the politics of the mission are as important to Moscow as the science.
The mission was launched while Russia was under sanctions. It couldn't get some of the technical parts it normally needs for missions like this. Now, if Russia could carry out the first soft landing on the South Pole under sanctions without those parts, they could say, look how strong this country is. We can do this even with sanctions. Conversely, if the mission was to fail, then Russia really might look bad, and it's certainly not good for the prestige of the President, Vladimir Putin.
King Charles has sent a message to England's Lionesses wishing them luck ahead of this morning's World Cup final against Spain. He hoped they would roar to victory. More than 75,000 people are expected to attend. BBC News.